When we need to prepare for a competitive event, our go-to company is the Army Painter.
Thanks to their complete range of paints, spray cans, and gaming tools, we're able to complete our new armies and units in no time.
When we need to elevate the quality of our models and terrain, the Army Painter is always our first choice.
You may not know this, but the Army Painter has sponsored more competitive events than any other hobby company.
Tournament and wargaming is in their DNA.
Visit thearmypainter.com to learn more about their amazing products.
And use promo code AWPaints for a 5% discount from your Army Painter purchases.
What are you waiting for? Discover the best way to prepare your models for events with the Army Painter today.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Wogtastic Tuesday tier list.
That's right. This week, we're going over the orcs. Every orc in this brand new book.
There's a lot of orcs.
Yeah, that's true. There are a lot. I didn't really realize how many units orc have until we do a tier list.
Yeah, there's a lot of them data sheets here. But you know what? We're going to rank them. We're going to rank them on the biggest at best. We're going to rank them on the lowliest best. We're going to figure out who's the best at crumping, thumping, and kicking all the booty in competitive Warhammer.
That's right. They just got a new book. They've got 5-6 brand new detachments, all of which are super cool. You can use all your units in the new detachments. And we're going to go through. We're going to go through which of these are the best, which of these are the puniest, which of these are the killiest.
Every Tuesday we go through and rank all kinds of different Warhammer 40k things based on how good they are competitively in the game. You can also check out our channel for battle reports, fix my list sessions, and all kinds of things. And if you're interested in learning more about Warhammer and improving your gameplay, you can check out our link below for the warm.vhx.tv. It'll get you access to our 3-day free trial of our amazing platform where we have so many coaching matches and strategy sessions and 10-minute tips, all designed to help you learn the game and become your best.
All right. Well, I say we hop right into it.
I say we hop right into it.
I say we hop right in. We got a tier list here. We rank them from the biggest boss down to the lowliest get.
Oh boy. So we got the biggest boss, Gots the Teeth.
That's the ones that got the teeth.
Most orcs have teeth, Jack.
Yeah, but they don't have they don't have the teeth.
The teeth.
You gotta have the teeth. If you got the teeth, you can spend it to get the to get the boomer sticks and to get the blasters.
The blasters. We got the boys. They're going to be the regular, good old average units. The puny Yumis, the ones that aren't that good. And then the lowly gets, which maybe Gots won't end up there. We'll see.
I think there are some Gots that will not end up in lowly get.
Somehow. But you know what might not end up there either? Gnome Chomsky with a 16-month membership streaming Wog for the internet. Thank you so much for your support for our channel. We love you. You can support this channel by liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment as well. It really helps.
It does. It does. Helps us do our thing.
So, Jack, what do we got here?
All right. First up, we got the Big Mac.
The Big Mac. What's the Big Mac do?
So the Big Mac buffs the big vehicles.
We're going to have to refer to the Codex quite a few times for this one because it's all brand new and shiny.
It's all brand new. And the Big Mac also got a brand new shiny... You got brand new shiny model. The brand new shiny model has a brand new shiny gun, and that brand new shiny gun has either a custom Mega Blaster or Tractor Blaster. And while he's in a unit, you reroll hit rolls of 1, which isn't as useful for orcs as others because they hit on 5s.
That's super exciting. So hitting on 5s is just generally not good, but then plus 1 to hit helps.
That's right. Oh no, reroll hit rolls of 1.
Reroll hit was 1.
And then you can reroll advance rolls for this model's unit because he's got a shock boost on him. And every time they make a normal advance or fallback move, you can move horizontally through models and terrain.
That's also really nice. Yeah, teleporting.
They teleport.
Going through terrain, amazing rule, especially for just units that like to get move blocked and like to get into close combat. Going through anything that can potentially get in the way is really nice.
That's right, and they come with, as I said, either a custom Mega Blaster or a Tractor Cannon, which ordinarily might not sound too great, but they can join Ludas, who get full hit rerolls against objectives.
Oh, that's nice.
And so the custom Mega Blaster is 3 shots that hit on 5s at 9 minus 2 d6, and the Tractor Blaster is 1 shot, hits on a 5, 10 minus 2 d6 plus 1, but anti-fly 3 plus dev wounds.
Shoot them Tau. With reroll hits, that's actually not bad. I like joining one of those Toludas. How many points do you? I guess we're going about the points in the back of the book, which may totally change based on when this Codex actually releases. So we do not even know.
My estimate is that the points in the back of the book are going to change because they always have.
Right.
And so a big mech currently Does not have just a big mech profile. It has big mech with custom force field, big mech with shock attack gun. So this one's kind of new. So the points in the back of the book, which likely will change, are 80 points for that dude.
All right, that's not too bad. I don't think this guy gets me excited for the Orky Wog. I'm not a big fan of the shooty orc style in general, but that doesn't mean he's not competitively viable. Where do you think this guy lands?
I think he's got some decent rules, but I think he just doesn't have a home in most lists, a role that he wants to do. I think he's going to end up in boy.
He's a boy. Big Mech is a big boy.
He's a big boy.
He's not the biggest boss, but he's a big boy.
No, he's a big boy, but he's not the biggest boss. We got, speaking of who's the biggest boss, we got Liam DSL, your internet Liam provider, for $2, saying, does Jack's Hawaiian shirt provide a stat buff?
Liam DSL, thank you so much for your support for the channel, and it sure does. It gives him +3 leadership. Very useful stat.
So some context about Big Mech that the chat is pointing out is he can join mech guns. Which is all right. I believe they already reroll hit rolls of 1 against things not at unwounded targets, so his buff there is kind of mediocre, but he does give the mech keyword for Dread Mob, so I think that's going to keep him in boy still, because I think the Dread Mob stuff you still want to take are the Grot tanks, or Orc Walkers, but he is very good as like, filling out your list. You can include one of him and like some Ludas and stuff to get the keyword on them.
Yeah. Okay, so he's solid. Let's keep going though.
So we got the Beast Boss. The Beast Boss joins the Beast Boys, Beast Snagger Boys specifically, and he is pretty good at killing vehicles, monsters and vehicles. So he is anti-monster, anti-vehicle 4+ on both of his weapons, and he has both. You don't have to choose. And he gives his unit +1 to hit. And he himself has devastating wounds when he makes a charge move.
That's really nice. I mean, he's got big damage attacks. Oh, he's only damage 2.
He's damage 2, but he's going to reroll hits in Beast Snagga Boys, and he's going to wound monsters and vehicles on 4s with just dev wounds. So you're going to swing with the Beast Choppa and just go, hey, take 6 to 8 damage in mortals, or in dev wounds.
That's actually really nice into like a monster vehicle type thing.
It is,
for sure.
He also gives the War Boss keyword to Beast Snagga Boys, so I think he's pretty decent at that. Now, he went up a significant amount in cost back in like ye olden 6 to 8 months ago days, and he's now 100 points, which is a little much.
Yeah.
And Beast Snagga Boys are 105. So they are a wee bit expensive, but they do crack vehicles.
For a 205-point unit, they just don't really have any durability. You know, they get 5 up in Volt the Wog or T5. That's not 0, but
6 up, feel no pain. It's like it helps, but it's not crazy.
205, I want my unit to stay alive a little longer. It's quite a bit. But in the context of the Orc Army, where everything's just jamming you care less about any individual unit. This is a unit that can crack tanks, which is useful.
It is. I would also put it in boy tier.
Yeah.
I think as far as War Boss, I think it's a solid unit if you want to include it, but it's not drawing me in any particular direction.
Yeah, I completely agree. He's very okay.
But you know who's not okay? Who's better than okay? We got Red Rum with a €2 super chat. It says, does the Big Mech come with palms and Coke? I don't know.
Red Rum, thanks for your super chat. Appreciate you, Red Rum. No idea what you're saying, but that is all right. He does not.
He does not.
No.
Yeah, unfortunately.
He comes with a shock attack gun.
That would make a big difference if he could, I think. So next we got up Beast Snagga Boys. We got Beast Snagga Boys. Beast Snagga Boys are +1 strength over a regular boy unit.
Strength 6 is nice.
Strength 6 is a big deal if you're going after monsters and vehicles.
Yeah, a lot of vehicles fall in that T10, T11 category, and Strength 6 is like great for that.
And they natively reroll hit rolls against monsters and vehicles, and they have a 6-up Feel No Pain. They're still OC2, and since last edition they got a movement upgrade from movement 5 to movement 6, which is nice, but that's carries over from the index. They just have a variety of weapons. Most of them are strength 6, AP 1, damage 1 during the Wa turn, and the power snap is not bad at 8-1-2 with 5 attacks.
Surprisingly, Beast Snagga Boys are not actually boys, so they won't synergize with your green tide detachment with all that stuff, but still, it's a good unit in most detachments, especially the big hunt.
Absolutely, yeah. I think this one also is going to end up, weirdly enough, in boy tier.
A lot of non-boys in boys.
A lot of boys. Yeah, this unit's just solid. It's a little pricey for what you take. It's 105. Regular boys are 85. They sticky objectives, and they're exactly the same except -1 strength. And then, do these things really want to go after monsters and vehicles? I mean, yeah, they real hits, but you know, still their strength 6. They're wounding most vehicles on 5s.
It's still damaged by a volume of saves, which if they have a 2-up save is going to add up very slowly.
Yeah. So I think the combo of the Beast Boss plus the Beast Boys is good, just a little pricey, and that lands it in Boy tier.
Yeah, it's a perfectly reasonable unit. You can make your army out of a couple of those. It's not going to be your breadwinners in terms of this thing is your best unit, but that's okay.
That's okay. That is okay. Now, if you want to put them in kill rigs, I think that's perfectly fine because they can run out, sweep, and objective clear very, very well and take it. They're just a little pricey for it.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Speed Freaks to Bikers.
Right, War Bikers. So War Bikers have a cool rule, which is every time they target a unit within 9 inches with a ranged attack, they get +1 AP.
And in the Speed Freaks detachment, they get a lot of bonuses when they get closer to you.
They do. Now, they're not necessarily a profile that wants to get that close to you. They're toughness 6, but 3 wounds with a 4-up.
Yeah, but they're orcs. You know, all orcs want to get close to you, right?
That is still kind of durable, and especially durable in quantity. Let me see how many points these guys are.
They're 70, I believe.
That's not actually terrible. They're kind of hard to kill in quantity, right? Toughness 6 is pretty damn annoying to crack.
No, yeah, you can draw these things up, and it's not just insta-vaporizing. Into certain profiles, like you play against a quantity of high-strength, decent AP, 3 damage shots, it'll get really ugly really fast, but not many armies pack that profile.
And there is a boss snob in the unit who has 4 wounds.
Yeah.
And so the first damage 3 shot that comes in just hits the boss snob, and you get a little durability there.
Here's where it falls off for me, though. It's just not that much damage. It's a gajillion shots at AP 1 and then 1 damage.
Yeah,
okay?
That's if you get really close to your opponent too, which I'm not really sure you want to do, right? Like, they're assault, so you can advance and you can shoot, no problem, and they're rapid fire too, so 6 of them is 30 shots, that's a lot. Then you hit on 5s.
Yeah.
And they're twin linked, but like you hit on 5s, your AP 1 damage, you're gonna
10 hits.
You're gonna struggle to kill a scout squad.
And that's not it. I mean, I love the idea of what this unit is trying to do. I think it's thematic. I think it's flavorful. I just think it missed.
I think it did for sure. I think the twin Daka guns needed to be like 1 less shot, damage 2 or something, so they can actually crack things.
Start at AP 1, damage 2 would really make this quite terrifying. I think, so because like literally double the damage.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it. Maybe BS4 instead of 5. Maybe AP 1 base goes to AP 2, but. As it is, I just don't think it does enough.
Absolutely. So I think it ends up in puny.
They're puny Yumis. They're obviously bikes. They're toughness 6. You know, they're not lowly gets.
They're not lowly gets. They're not garbage. It's just like, what are we doing here? You know, it's not. They're not doing much. You can include a unit to run around and score secondaries, and I think that's pretty decent.
Yeah, if you're gonna do MSU 3-man bikers just to be trash for the sake of trash, I think that's perfectly fine. But orcs are an army with tons of 60, 70, 80 point squads that can run around and do that job. So while they might be good at it, it's not very unique to them at all.
No, it's not. But Black Onion's a unique fella.
Yes, the $5 super chat. Our loot is the new flash kits. Do their heads fit pirate hats? I hope their heads fit pirate hats. Pour one out for Badruck.
Yeah, Badruck. I don't know where he went. He left me. He went out for a pack of smokes.
He went to the
never
great
came back.
Chaplain Dreadnought. It's in the sky.
Yeah, I'm sad because he left his boys hanging. But we'll see when we get to their units.
Yeah, thank you so much for your super chat, Slack Onion. Jack, what are we looking at next?
Do you know the name of this thing?
I asked for a reason.
We're looking at a Big Ed Boss Bunker, Nick.
A Big Ed Boss Bunk. There are so few units that I've never heard of in Warhammer 40k. I've been doing this for 20 years, but that is on the list. What is this?
Okay, so it's a fortification, so it doesn't move. It's toughness 10 with 12 wounds, 0 OC, which is slick. As the standard, you can get cover from it rules. And it is a +1 leadership buff within 6 inches to orcs.
Does it infiltrate?
Of course not. What are we doing here? No, it does have some guns. It can have 4 big shooters and Gaze of Gork. Big shooters are pretty deeply mediocre, but Gaze of Gork is also pretty deeply mediocre. It's 1 shot at 18 inches, hits on a 5, at strength 12, AP 4, damage 3. Or D6 shots at 501.
Jack, say less. This is why we have the category for lowly gets.
Yeah, it can transport dudes, but you're not going to want it to.
It doesn't move.
It doesn't. You can't put Gazgul in there. It's very explicit about that.
They needed to put that in there, otherwise I was going to spam Gazgul on this thing.
Yeah, Gazgul and Boss.
Gazgul was that was going to be the meta. That was it.
Gazgul and Big Ed Boss Bunkers. That's what we're looking at.
But you know what Gazgul actually likes to go inside?
Is it a battle wagon, Nikki?
He takes up a lot of slots, but I hear battle wagons have a lot of slots.
They do. They have 22 slots for them. So you can do things that are kind of ridiculous. Mega Armor takes up 2 slots. You have 22. So anything you can do is 6 Mega Boys with a Mega Boss, plus 5 Knobs, plus a War Boss, all going in a battle wagon. It is toughness 12 if you don't want to shoot out of it. You don't want to shoot out of it. It's toughness 12 with a 3-up save, native armor of contempt, 16 wounds, OC 5, reasonable combat. It's like 160, I want to say. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Orcs are all about getting to the opponent and overwhelming them with stuff and power and pain and all that stuff. And Mega Knobs going inside the battle wagon is a way to deliver one of your best data sheets in this codex, spoiler alert. And additionally, the battle wagon itself is a decent combat vehicle tank thing with tank shock and all that. So you're not only delivering a great data sheet in the form of Mega Knobs, but you are also hitting them with this brick of a battle wagon.
Yeah, and it has just a bunch of random weapons for like no reason. It gets a Death Roller, a Grab and Claw, and a Wrecking Ball all at the same time. So you have 3 different weapons you're going to swing with all at the same time because they have extra attacks.
Yeah, this thing's great.
It's great.
It's also just hard to kill, so if it survives past like turn 1, turn 2, and then you're dealing with an orc army, it's probably never going to die and just runs through the midfield.
It's also OC 5, which just out OCs a lot of stuff or ties against most squads.
Do you think this is the biggest boss, or just it's got some teeth?
It's definitely like right here, right?
I think at the end of the day, it's a glorified transport.
I think you can swap what it does for just like 2 to 3 trucks.
Yeah.
And for that, I think it's going to land in God's Teeth, even if it probably is the best transport.
It's not, because trucks exist and hunt and kill, the kill rigs exist, you're kind of competing with the same slot and just efficiency, and it's not, you can get a similar thing from trucks.
Yeah, and similar to trucks, you're not, and we'll probably talk about trucks right next. Similar to trucks, you actually don't want to give it every upgrade that it possibly could get. Because on trucks, if you give it a Wrecking Ball, the Wrecking Ball hangs out like another inch or 2 to the side and makes it very tough to play with, very tough to avoid line of sight. The Battle Wagon does not love putting 2 of the 4 big shooters on because they stick out the sides. That's no fun, especially in WTC. So, you have to be a little careful about what upgrades you put on it.
Yeah. Or you just get shot.
I think Got's Datif is exactly right. I think it's very good, but it's not required.
You know what I think might be required, though?
What is required? Truck?
The truck.
The truck.
The truck just makes it into every single orc list. Like, it's so good. Orcs are so fragile until they're wogged up and in your face, and there's 100 of them. But you don't deploy wogged up and 100 of them in your opponent's face. You have to get there. And how do you get there? You put your stuff in trucks.
Absolutely. And I can tell you from having played a bunch with a bunch of trucks, I can tell you that when your orcs go forward, your trucks score you 1,000,000 points on objectives. They do your secondaries in the center or whatever you need them to do, and they score a bunch of points while the orcs go forward. They used to be 50 points on index release. That was bananas.
That was just take 6, go home.
Yeah, they went up to 60, and I still took 6. Yeah. I believe they're 65 now.
Yeah, that's correct. I think the trucks at 65 is a little more fairly priced, where it's actually somewhat costly to just spam them out. I still actually want to see them go to like 70, 75, but at the same time, trucks are like the bread and butter for your army. Them plus the dudes inside.
They are. They're very good. They can transport 5 mega armor guys and a mega boss. Not 6, but luckily mega armor mega knobs can take 5. So they can do that, which transports those. They can transport knobs very well, boys really well. Just any melee unit in a truck, perfect.
Yeah, definitely the biggest boss. Jack, I'm feeling one of these planes. I see a little Air Force at the bottom of this, and I want to intersperse the planes here.
All right. Well, which one?
Just whichever one tickles your desires.
Tickles my what?
Tickles your desires.
All right, let's call this the DACA Jet. I believe this one is the DACA Jet.
The DACA Jet used to be the best one.
It used to be insane. DACA Jets used to be buck
to run
wild.
3 of these things.
Yeah, this is the DACA Jet. Okay, I'm purely going off of what color they are because trying to tell them apart is impossible, but the black one is the DACA Jet.
The orcs know.
That's right. So the DACA Jet gets 3 twin super shooters. Twin super shooters are 6 shots within 18, sustained 1, twin linked at 611. They hit on 5s, but every successful hit is a critical hit.
Okay, that's a lot of shots.
Yeah, and if you can give them +1 to hit somehow, I don't know if a mech can tink on a plane, but that would be pretty thematic.
Even if it can, it's kind of hard to set up logistically with the planes either deep striking in or flying and moving at minimum distances and the big mech trying to follow the plane. I can't imagine that working out too well.
Yeah, I think you get it for 1 turn and that's about it.
Yeah.
Even so, you're getting, 18 shots, even if you're within 18, that, 18 shots is going to be 12 hits.
Yeah.
And then you're twin linked at 611. I just don't see this thing doing a lot of damage.
When I evaluate planes like on a strategic level, you got to remember that they don't have OC. They don't interact with the terrain and moving around well. Despite moving 1,000,000 inches, they don't actually position well. They just have a big characteristic that they have to use. And then on top of that, because they have no intrinsic objective grabbing value or secondary grabbing value, they are just a damage dealer. They better be amazing at dealing damage.
They also don't show up until at minimum turn 2.
Which is a little bit late.
And also when this guy shows up from reserves, he can't be within rapid fire range because he has to be 9 away.
All right, so I think this is actually a lowly get.
It is 100% a lowly get.
It's still better than the thing. Like I need it to be in front of that. But
yeah, the Big Ed Boss Punk is going to be the worst in this book for sure.
But like it's definitely not going anywhere near our competitive lists.
No, it does very little damage, and it has to come from reserves, and it has limited movement, and it's not that durable. And what are we doing?
So now we've got the Warboy, not to be confused with the Weird Boy.
Absolutely not be confused with the Weird Boy. What are you talking about? So he has a weird gun. I mean, which makes sense. But it's a whir gun, I suppose.
Is it a whir gun or a weird gun?
It's an Eyes of Mork.
Okay.
D6 shots hitting on 5s at 8 -3 damage 2, 18-inch range. While he's leading a unit, you get +2 shots for every 5 models in his unit. But if he has 10 or more models, it gets hazardous.
What can he lead?
He leads Beast Snaga Boys, which can be a 20-man.
So we're trying to make a Beast Snaga Boy shooting unit?
You have a Beast Snaga Boy. Why not include a Whir Boy?
Because I include so many better characters.
He also doesn't have assault, so if you want to advance, he doesn't shoot.
Okay. Orcs also run into the assassinate problem because all their raw hitting power often comes from their characters, so you're trying to deliver these characters to your opponent. There is a world where you don't care about assassinate, your opponent gets what they get, but you shouldn't take bad characters and just let your opponent get it for free on
You don't want D6 +8 shots?
I mean, that sounds awesome, but it still hits on 5s.
What if I told you he could confrazzle your opponent?
I love
that. Is a technical term. He confrazzles.
Frazzle used to be the bane of my existence. What's Frazzle do?
So it's confrazzle. So Roar of Mork, he picks a unit within 18 inches and visible, and on a 2-up, they're confrazzled. While they're confrazzled, they're -2 battle shock and leadership checks.
I like my battle shock. I like my battle shock, Jack. I play demons.
I know, but there's no battle shock support in this codex at all.
I just look, put him there, but for battle shock, I could make him a puny. Just for me.
There's nothing else does battle. I would be surprised.
That makes him unique. That makes him the biggest boss, the best battle shocker.
If you keep talking back, he's going below the boss.
It can't go. Put that thing where it belongs.
I'm just saying, if you keep talking back, Mr. Leadership Man goes down below the Big Ed Boss Bunker.
No. Are these the regular boys?
These are regular boys.
The most classic, iconic unit in this codex. They've been around since day 0. They used to run 180 of these things. Then you used to run more than that, and now it's only 120. But man, can you run 120?
You can, in fact, run 120. So they have a couple different roles. So they got a new rule. They got a rule, actually. Their old rule didn't exist.
That's true. Something about breaking heads.
You could, if you fail a battle shock check, you could kill D3 of them if there's a war boss attached to the unit to re-roll it.
But now they make objective sticky.
Yeah, now they make objective sticky.
So you're going to include some boys.
Way better, yeah. So boys have 2 modes. One, you just include them, like 10 of them in a truck, running around, doing secondaries, killing skirmish stuff, and they're very good at that. And then the second mode is in the Green Tide.
Yeah.
And the Green Tide is where you run 120 of them and support them with characters, and jump around, advance around, do it, charge, and just have a bunch of dudes doing stuff.
I really want to give it to the boys because they actually have real purpose, and I think almost every single orc list will run at least one, like you were saying. And whether or not you would go more, whether it's like 10 boys and trucks with a war boss attached, or it's like the Green Tide, you're going to include them. I think that's cool because they're so iconic.
I think so. They're not that expensive. They're 85 points for a unit of 10. They are good in Bully Boys if you put a war boss in there, because you get the war boss keyword, and they just kind of escort him around, and he does the 9 attack life.
Yep.
And they're good in Green Tide, where the only rules affect that one data sheet. They do struggle to kill things. They struggle in the killing things department because they're strength 4, strength 5 in the wall with AP 1 damage.
Yeah.
They do have problems there. You need units that do kill things to support your boys.
Ironically, the Green Tide, as much as it can kill certain armies that don't bring the profiles that are super durable against it, it is very much a mission play army, in my opinion, that just has some teeth and ability to charge you and all that. So it's not your traditional orc stuff. I think it's got some teeth. I think
regular orc boy is a Gots to teeth unit.
It's God's teeth. It's not a boy. Orc boys are not boys.
No, orc boys are better than boys.
But the units that are not boys are boys.
That's right.
Just to be clear. As clear as possible.
I think we all I think we're every one of us on the same
If you're confused by that, then you're a puny Umi.
That's right. You're a puny Umi. Okay, so next up we've got Zodgrod Wartsnaga.
The Grot character.
That's right.
Everybody loves the Grot character.
Everyone loves the Grot character.
You take a 20-man Grot unit, you scout it a gajillion inches, you call the wall, you charge your opponent with these Grots, and what is happening?
Okay, so he makes Grots. He has the best buff in the entire game. It just has to go on one of the worst units in the entire game.
Balance right there.
Yeah. So while the model's leading the unit, they get Scout 9, +1 to hit, +1 to wound, and they are -1 to be wounded. And he doubles their movement characteristic during the WA.
Imagine putting that on literally anything.
Literally anything else, this guy would be through the biggest boss roof incredibly far. It would just be insane. Imagine you could put this on Mega Knobs.
He's a big grot boss. I'm not imagining that. So I really think of him as in a combination with the Grots, because obviously he's doing nothing besides his Grot trick. How good do we feel about the Grot trick?
So the Grot trick is 160, him plus 22 dudes technically.
Yeah.
It's okay. It is very good at tying your opponent up for a turn and making sure they don't go anywhere, which is nice, right?
I love tying my opponent, move blocking them up, and just trapping them in their deployment zone. That's like a win condition on its own.
Yeah, so the way I look at Zodgrod Gang, is you scout him into a midfield ruin, and when you call the WA, on turn 2 or something, when you call the WA, he sprints out, and they go 12 plus D6, and you just charge and tag every unit in line of sight that you possibly can.
And then you're -1 to wound, 5 invincible, and the Grots are like, we're going to be here.
Yep, and if your opponent can't fall back and do anything, you can just use this unit to slow your opponent's response turn down.
Yeah.
And that's what we're looking at.
If you're clever at charging as well, you don't even have to charge and tag all those units, depending on if they have fly. You could charge just one measly little rhino that's really not going to do too much damage, and then just stand loosely in front of a lot of enemy units. It's little technical pylon stuff we teach in the Worm, link below, and for the worm.vhx.tv, but that's the kind of stuff you can really do to get leverage out of this unit.
Yeah, I'm thinking I jump on my opponent. I would really like it if their heaviest hitter was killing 10 Grots this turn instead of killing anything else.
Yeah.
And so they're stuck up, and I'm touching a bunch of tanks and stuff like that. I don't lose the unit. Whatever's left is keeping them locked in combat, and the rest of my army can go to work on the following turn.
So I've played against this a few times. Mark used to run this against me quite a lot. I always just found it mildly annoying for one turn and then just moved on with my life. And it also, again, gives that assassinate from a character that you really just are not that excited about outside of this one gimmick. I don't think it's spectacular, but I don't think it's terrible. I think it's in Du Bois area.
It's either down here or up here. It's not useless, it's just a little overcosted and also kind of useless.
It's Grots, right? You can make them puny Umis. It's not useless, like you said.
So Grots are going to end up really high. I think trying to fit them into this role is a round peg, square hole sort of situation.
Right. Grots are very useful in the same way, Nurglings are really useful, but they are not useful when you try to make them do stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can get value out of it, but nah, I'm not super into that.
As someone who's worked very hard to make ridiculous combinations work, I can spot them a mile away when they're not worth it.
Yeah, they used to be cheaper. They used to be a lot cheaper, and then they used to be worth it. But
you know what is worth it though? Bobsy Soda with a $5 super chat. Lobsters! Thank you, Bobby. Appreciate you so much. That is a reference to, of course, the Lobsters 2 team from the latest Florida ATC tournament. Lobsters. We just went to a team this past weekend and kicked some major ass, which was awesome. And we played against the coolest team in the history of Warhammer, Lobsters 2, The Search for Connor. If that makes no sense to you, that's okay. Lobsters.
They were all dressed up as lobsters, and they did a dance.
You know who looks like a lobster? That guy right there. Let's do him.
This guy?
That guy. Let's do that guy.
That looks like a lobster. What lobsters have you been eating?
I don't eat lobsters, Jack. I worship lobsters.
All right. Weird. Okay, so we've got the Beast Boss on Squigosaur. He is very different from his index. So he used to be a solo character that ran around, was crazy tough, and just kind of did his own thing. Not very good at doing damage, but very tough, good at pushing flanks. He's no longer that. What he is now is a leader to Squighog boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's still very tough. He's toughness 8 with 8 wounds and a 5-up, feel no pain, but he's not toughness 10 with 9 wounds and a 4-up, feel no pain.
He used to be like functionally unkillable or certainly not worth dedicating the effort to attack, and then he just like jams your opponent up, kills stuff, and is a real problem. Now he's like in a very expensive unit hitting combination.
Yeah, so his buffs aren't actually amazing for leading a unit. He gives +1 to charge and free heroic strat.
Free heroic is nice.
It is nice, but it's not the reason I'm going to add a guy who's, according to the back of the book, 130.
Yeah.
To a unit.
We'll see what he costs when we get the.
We'll see what he actually costs, because he changed so much. We can't really go off the price in the app right now, so we'll just have to see what they do when they come out with the MFM.
So, like, kind of similarly to Zog's route or whatever, I think we have to take it in with the context of attaching to a big Squighog unit and just letting him loose.
So I think he definitely ends up better than Zodgrod for one simple reason: he has the Warboss keyword, which means that when he joins a unit of Squighogs, he gives them the Warboss keyword, and they can use the double Wah out of Bully Boys.
That is pretty insane.
They can't use literally any of the strats, not a single one, and this guy can't take any of the enhancements.
And he doesn't actually hit like as hard as you'd expect for him being a giant orc warboss riding an enormous lobster.
No, or a guy riding a squig even. No, he does not hit very hard. He does not make his unit hit harder. He just basically gives them +1 to charge and then make you remind your opponent you can heroic for free. So
in a melee brawl, that could be useful, but I don't know. I don't really love this man. He's not bad though. I think he's a boy.
I think he's a boy, but he's not like an amazing boy. I think he's just here to give Warboss keyword to Squighog riders. You can give him the 4-up feel no pain, I believe.
In the big hunt, I imagine that he would join them, and probably the strats and all that could make him a little more palatable.
You could. In the big hunt, he can join the unit, but I think he just makes them inefficient. What you can do is in Warhorde, which is the old Wa tribe, you can give him a 4-up feel no pain again because they have an enhancement.
Okay, so even like one as a solo monster kind of replicating what it used to would actually work too.
Yeah, if you just do it for a lot cheaper, maybe that's worth it.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, next up we've got the Def Dread.
The Def Dread. This has got to be my least favorite of the orc attachments, the Grot tank one. I think it's hilarious and cool, but I think it might be a little too shooty.
You think? Yeah, it shoot the big hard, for sure. So, Def Dreads, they have 2 big shooters and 2 Dread Claws stock, and then each of the big shooters can be replaced with there's a bunch of stuff, but it's rocket launcher. And then the Dread Claws can be replaced with a bunch of stuff, but it's rocket launcher. So you can get 4 rocket launches.
Pew, 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 pew.
It's toughness 9 with 8 wounds and a 2-up, 6-up, which is kind of a weird defensive profile. It moves 8. It really needs to teach Dreadnoughts how to move that far, right? The Contemptors. It really needs to teach them how to do it. At the start of the fight phase, every enemy unit with engagement range has to take a battle shock test, which is...
Excuse you mister, put the weird boy and the Jeff Dredd into biggest boss right now. You lied to me.
Are you talking back right now? Is that what's happening?
I am calling you out on saying there was no battle shock synergy, but I just heard the Def Dread and the Wereboys are getting it on.
All right, you're going to take 3 Wereboys and 3 Def Dreads in the Orc Mech detachment?
I might.
No, you won't. And he's staying below Big Ed Boss Bunk until you admit it. All right, so Dedef Dread he either goes shooty with 4 rocket launches, or he goes dead choppy with 4 Dread Claws, and he has a rule called dead choppy, which is the attacks characteristic of the weapon is increased by 1 for every additional Dread Claw. So if you have 4 Dread Claws, he has 7 attacks in the wall. That's going to be 8 at 12 minus 2 damage 3, or 13 minus 2 damage 3.
That's quite hitty.
That is
quite hitty.
That is dead choppy. That's dead choppy.
Strength 13 is a different kind of number.
That's right.
And flat damage 3 is the right kind of number.
Flat damage 3 is pretty good, or you get 4 rocket launches. I think those are the 2 different loadouts there. Let's find out how many points he is. So he's only 130.
Yeah,
that is
about
pretty
what I'd expect.
Pretty dead cheap.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love him unless you're building the list that he is in, you know? Like, what I mean by that is like 18 cannons, 3 dreadnoughts, some silly nonsense like that in the Orc Grat detachment. I don't think he really fills a role in like a normal Orc list.
No, but I think he is cheap, which is nice. In the Grot detachment, I think he's all right. I think that puts him about there-ish.
Yeah.
130 is pretty cheap for that kind of hull, and he does have melee, so he can get up board.
How tough is he? That's the real question.
Toughness 9 with a 2-up, 6-up, and 8 wounds.
He's like not that tough. 2-up is nice.
2-up is nice, but he is
Toughness 9, 8 wounds a little soft.
1 melta gun and a grenade away from dying.
Yeah, a melting gun looks his way, and you're just 130 in the hole now.
Yeah,
he's all offense, no defense there.
That is 100% true, but like you're going to be a lot of that in the mech detachment. I don't know. I think he ends up in boy. He's kind of cheap.
Boy is perfectly fine. We're good with that.
Big mech with shock attack gun.
The SAG mech, sometimes broken, most of the time useless.
I remember when he was deeply broken and you played 3. It was annoying.
I never did that.
Why do we have shock attack guns then?
We don't.
All right. We think we don't actually. I think you converted them.
No, this didn't happen. Keep going.
It happened. Anyway, shock attack gun is heavy blast D6 plus 1. It's 60-inch range. Hitting on 5s at strength 9, AP 4 damage D6. In your shooting phase, after this model is shot, that unit takes a battle shock test.
Minus 2 leadership from the word boy. Cause the battle shocks. Come on.
That is atrocious. While this model is leading a unit, every time they make a ranged attack, reroll hit rolls with 1. So while he can go in Ludas or mech guns, they basically already have that roll.
Yeah.
But they buff his shooting, right? They give the shock attack gun
reroll hits.
Reroll hits.
Reroll hits is amazing on a shock attack.
And then once per battle, after you determine how many shots he gets, you can reroll that die because he's a Grot assistant.
Well, yeah, that's what he's here for. You put that Grot assistant into the thing and shock attack the Grot.
That's right. So let's see how many points this dude is.
I think he's a little too many.
He's 75.
Well, that's not so bad.
Which is not actually so bad. He does give the mech keyword to Ludas. So I think this is the one you would take if you did take one.
What does the mech keyword for Ludas matter?
So the mech keyword for Ludas for the Dread Mob gives them the ability to try that button and overcharge. It doesn't give them. It gives them the ability to get bigger shells for bigger gets, which is a good strat.
Yeah, plus 1 to wound.
Yep, or plus 1 to wound, plus 1 damage.
It depends if you overcharge, yeah.
Which you will do, and that's against monsters and vehicles because they're bigger gets. You gotta have bigger shells for them.
I thought he was gonna be meme-tastic city, but he is actually quite decent.
He can also give ranged. There's an enhancement for gives his unit ignores cover, which is good on Ludas.
That is good on Ludas.
It's good on Ludas. And then there's various enhancements you can take.
Let me see his gun again.
His gun is that. Blast heavy, D6 plus 1, hits on 5s, 9, 4, D6.
Strength 9, AP 4, D6 damage. I think he's a solid boy.
Do you think he lands? You think he lands
I
in
think
boy
he's a
too?
solid boy.
All right, I think he lands just above the regular Big Mac.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't think he's like gotta take the shock attack him, but I think you can. It's quite reasonable.
All right, next up we have, I believe this is the Hunter rig.
Yes, the big Hunter rig. It's been a minute for me, Jack. What does a Hunter rig do in these
It's
days?
like what a kill rig does, but less of it, but costs cheaper.
Yeah, that's the idea.
So it holds more dudes.
It doesn't psychic people.
It does not psychic people. It's more about the transport than it is about the shoot port.
Exactly.
Yeah, so where the heck did
Which
they
we did
put
talk
this?
about
Oh,
how
it's all the way in the back.
transporting is like a really valuable thing for orcs in general. So, you know, I could see this thing being quite good.
So it transports 21 Beast Snagga infantry models, which is pretty dope.
Nice 20-man plus a character.
20 man plus a character. For every model embarked on the transport, gets plus 1 attack to the model's Butcher Boys to a maximum of 6. So it can have plus 6 attacks to its Butcher Boys.
Really excited to roll 30 attacks right there.
Unfortunately, I don't even think that would be busted, to be clear, because it's 5/1/1 on those. So it has its damage output is very mediocre. It has 6 attacks at 10/1/2, and then some extra attacks that are not much different than that.
Yeah.
It holds 21 dudes. It has firing deck. It has a 6-up feel no pain. It's tough. It's OC 5. It's 150.
150's okay.
150's okay. I think it's pretty mediocre.
It's like between average and mediocre. It's if it didn't have to compete with battle wagons and trucks, you would take it because it's the thing that does the job. But it's got competition for the job of transport.
It also only holds beast snagas, and that's it.
It's just not the units. I mean, beast snagas do want to be transported. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like it's got the utility of a battle wagon who can really bring some pain.
Well, I will tell you, I think we're gonna land in about puny Umi
You
territory.
think this thing is like the same kind of bad as war bikes and the Grot stuffs?
I think it is exactly the same kind of bad, where it's
Yeah.
like it's doing a thing, but that's just not a thing I want to do.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's right.
Whereas the kill rig,
Well, let's do the kill rig.
so the kill rig is 20 points more. It's 170, and it only holds 11, which is fine. That's 10 Beast Snaga Boys, Beast Boss if you want it.
Yeah.
That's it. Very efficient on terms of what it holds. Like that unit's just going to go out and hit something, not trying to make a 20-man work. It has a psychic ability. At the start of the fight phase, you pick an orc unit within 12. On a 2 through a 5, they get +1 strength. On a 6, they get +1 strength from lethal hits, which is a pretty decent buff. And it has the Whir Tower. Now the Whir Tower is 24-inch range, auto-hitting, D3 shots at strength 12, AP3, damage D6. And I can tell you, having played a bunch of these last edition, those guns add up. They add up really fast. If you have 2 of these, if you have 3 of these, those guns add up. Because you're just consistently auto-hit, 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 auto-hit las cannon, auto-hit las cannon.
It hurts. It hurts.
It hurts. Now, they do less than they did last edition, but they're 170, and they're toughness 10 with 16 wounds.
That's not bad. And does it have a feel of pain?
It has a 6-up.
6-up. That's not, 16 wounds is basically like 19 wounds when you have 6 of feel of pain.
So I think that the kill rig basically does what the hunter rig wants to be doing, just a lot better. It has the same damage in combat, which is, fine. It has the same damage in shooting, which is fine. It's decently durable. It's kind of very well-rounded on like a pie chart of how well it does. It's very well-rounded. It does consistent damage. It transports dudes who hit to the front lines, Beast Boss plus Beast Snag Boys. They're a little overcosted. This guy's probably a little undercosted. Works out.
I think it's a regular boy.
I think it ends up, somewhere in like boy tier.
In the boy tier. It's definitely better than the Hunter rig. I don't think it's as good as Battle Wagon. Its profile also should be considered. The thing's enormous, and like hiding is a very useful thing in Warhammer.
Yeah. Now I will say that it does get the benefit of the Big Hunt.
Ooh.
Because it is a Beast Snaga, so you are good at hunting down enemy monsters, vehicles, or warlords. It doesn't get any of the enhancements. Obviously, it's no longer a character, which is good. You're not giving up a billion points on Assassinate. But it does benefit from all of the Big Hunt rules, which in that detachment, I would actually take several kill rigs.
Right. I think you build your army around that Beast Snaga theme a lot more, and then it elevates in there.
I'm going to actually put it up a little higher, because I think into Big Hunt, you are going to just take it.
Sure, yeah. I mean, within the tier, I think it's a little bit, kind of all the same. All the same. I don't know why you did that.
You know why. All right, we've got Burna Boys.
Burna Boys. I'm excited for the Flamey Boys. They do a weird amount of damage. They're AP2 in close combat, which makes them kind of hitty, and they have a lot of burny shots.
They are. So they are 3 attacks on the Wa turn, hitting on 4s at strength 5, AP2, damage 1. Odd profile for an orc, but I'm not going to turn it down.
Yeah.
Whenever they make a ranged attack that targets you within 6, reroll wound rolls of 1. If they're in range of, if the target is also in range of an objective marker, so they have to be close to you and you have to be on an objective marker, you reroll wounds. They have flamers. That's basically it.
It's pretty good at like counter-attacking a unit right off of an objective. It's also an orc with AP2, which is a rare feat, and you can take them in 5-mans for pretty cheap, which I think is also good utility.
Yeah, 60 points makes it a very good like skirmishing unit.
Yeah.
They don't have a they have a spanner. The spanner can take a custom mega blaster or a rocket launcher, which is pretty decent if you want to do that.
If it hits.
If it hits, but
Otherwise, it's pretty not.
it'll probably hit. The custom Mega Blasta is 3 shots, which is dope. Yeah, I mean, 60 points means these things are, I think, just going to land in like the I tier.
There's a lot of okay units in Orcs, and this is definitely one of them.
All right, next up we've got the...
No, I want to do the Burn Obama, because we're doing the Burnas.
Okay, Burn Obama then.
Burn
Let me make
Obama.
sure this is the Burn Obama.
Well, obviously, it's the Burn Obama. How do you not know?
That's the Blitz Obama.
Jack.
I'm letting you down here. This is the Burn Obama. Blitz Obama, get to back in line. All right, Burn Obama is not amazing. Comes with a twin big shooter, a twin super shooter, and you get a Scorcha missile rack. Scorcha missile rack is 2d6 shots blast at 511. Twin super shooter is 6 shots in rapid fire at 611, and twin big shooter is 5 shots at 501. Several of this is twin linked. Who cares? It all hits on 5s. Every time they end a normal move, you pick an enemy unit you moved over. They cannot get the benefits of cover, and you roll a d6 for every model in the enemy unit. On a 6, they take a mortal.
This is so not what it was. It hurts. Back in the day, you deployed this thing on the line, or wherever you wanted, because it flies, and then it would move a gajillion inches. Anything it flew over would take mortal wounds on 4+, and then it would explode in the middle of your opponent's army and do like d6 mortal wounds to everything near it, and it would just be this nuke you set off. Now, it's a shell of its former self.
Yeah, it doesn't do any damage. It's not that durable. It's going to be down here above, obviously, the Warboy.
The Warboy is the best thing in the low league category, and I will not hear otherwise. That's a mockery of the Orc tier
It
list.
surely is.
Muzzbuzz with the $5 super chat, totally agreeing with me about the Warboy. Curious where you would put the Grot Tank Gits.
I don't see where you says that.
I'm talking, Jack. Curious
Okay.
where you would put the Grot Tank Gits. Currently painting my 7th one while my Mega Dread cures. I think in the context of the Grot army, the Grot tanks might actually be insane.
They are very good.
I don't want to acknowledge that because they're a little absurd. But I think if you're going to make the list with like 18 of those things, you can run a calculator at somebody, and if they don't have a good place to hide or deal with it, which many armies don't, delete.
24.
24, okay.
24.
Okay.
They come in units of
Right.
8, baby. I think one unit of 8 for sure makes that list, if you have them. If you don't, you can substitute them. But I think one unit of 8 definitely makes the list.
Yeah.
After that, somewhat diminishing returns.
They definitely do struggle to like place themselves, move on the table, get line of sight angles. So while it's an awesome calculator, it also might not actually work technically.
Yeah. Next up, we got the Custom Booster Blasta. We've got, God, all the Orc shooting units are the same, man. They're all just like...
I don't know. I don't understand like what they were doing when they made this. Like, we have a buggy. Let's make the same buggy 6 times and give it slightly different rules on each of them.
Absolutely.
Like, this could just be the Orc buggy, but no.
It could be just the Orc buggy. After it hits an enemy unit, which is tough for it, obviously it's an Orc unit. After an enemy unit is hit by a rivet cannon, until the start of your next turn, they are -1 to hit. The rivet cannon is 6 shots, goes to 9 and 18 inches. It's assault at 812, but it does hit on 5s.
I think we have to, instead of going so nitty-gritty into this one strength 7 or this one strength 8 or whatever, we should just kind of look at their cost, their defense, and their offense and their rules and see if any of them do something uniquely different from each other. Because if they're all the same shade of Orc buggy, they are all the same shade of Orc buggy.
Yeah, so the cost currently is 75 points.
So what's his defense like?
Toughness 7, 9 wounds, which is the same as all the other buggies, with a 4-up save. OC 3, which is nice.
That is nice.
That is nice. Its offense is not great. It has a 2d6 twin-linked flamer at 6 inches, and it has a 9-shot hitting on 5s at 812 gun.
Okay. So this thing is okay.
It's okay.
It's good in the way that I use my Secret Chariot, where it's like mine's 65, and it's just like a thing. It's OC3, it's fast, and it does an action. But this thing also pretends to do damage with shooting and make you -1 to hit. I think this is a boy. I think it's a boy. Like,
I think it's going to come in at Puny Umi, man. It's cheap, but like, why are we taking this thing? This thing's going to do negative damage over the course of the game.
No, but it's like annoying to remove for its cost. Like, you can jam people up and stuff, and like actually hold an objective and like not and get ignored. It's like a bloat drone, you know. It's a 75-point bloat drone.
I mean, if you take a bunch of these, I could see them getting better in quantity because they each keep each other alive.
Yeah, I don't think you're just taking like a buggy and expecting it to do anything besides like deploy homers and die. But if you take like 2 or 3 and jam your entire Orc army, some of those 2 or 3 you could hold the objectives with 3 more, so you completely get ignored, bump into stuff, and make your opponent's life obnoxious for what, 70 points?
75.
75.
I think
it's a
if
reasonable
you
drop.
want to do that roll, I think the shock jump is significantly better because it does teleport.
Let's go look at the shock jump, because this is kind of, if they're all the same shade, I'm saying they don't all have to be the best.
Yeah, I think you're going to like the shock jump more. So I'm going to put this here. If
Yeah.
you want to go back to it, you can.
Sounds good.
So shock jump dragsta.
Yeah.
So the shock jump dragsta, exactly the same defense-wise. When it's selected to advance, you pick it up and you put it down 9 inches away from your opponent instead of making an advance move.
I do like up and down.
It does not have an assault gun, so you can't do actions, but in Speed Freaks, everything's assault.
Okay.
So in Speed Freaks, which is I think where you take any of the buggies.
I could see you actually taking it as a support role in like any detachment. But the Speed Freaks is where you get actual synergy with it, of course.
Yeah. It has one shot that hits on a 3, that's precision, dev wounds, strength 8, AP2 damage, d6 plus 1.
Hits on a 3?
Hits on a 3.
That is not bad.
Hits on a 3. One shot.
Whatever, it works.
It works. It is 75 points as well, and it comes with a rocket launcher, which is pretty good.
I do like this thing better. I think if we're gonna, because you're not gonna run 12 buggies, trying to like really make this a thing. You're gonna run like 1, maybe 2, and it's just gonna be the best at that job. I think this one is better.
Yeah, we've got. Do you want to go through all the buggies now, or do you want to?
Let's just knock the buggies out.
Let's
do some
so
buggies.
we've got the Rocket Truck Squig Buggy, and we've got the Megatrack Scrapjet and the Boom Daka Snaz Wagon.
He's down there.
Where's he?
Between this big boys.
There he is. So this is the Rocket Truck Squig Buggy, actually. These all sound like the Key and Peele East West Bowl sketch characters.
Rocket Truck Squig Buggies are broken. You run 9 of them. They're strength 5, AP 1, 2 damage, hit on 3s because you're in free Buddhas and everything
They
gets
used to be
tabled.
strength 5, AP 3, 2 damage, my dude.
That's true. You would just stack stuff. So anyway, you're getting tabled by 9 of them, and that's your life. Enjoy your turn 3 with no models.
Don't worry, they don't do that anymore.
Oh.
Yeah, that's 9th edition you're thinking of. They actually got worse since the Index. They used to have a rule where I think they just got +1 to hit infantry. They don't have that anymore. So the Squig launches are D6 plus 6 shots, blast, ignores cover, indirect fire. Hitting on 5s, it's strength 5, AP 1, damage 2.
So often hitting on 6s, because presumably you're not going to see anything, that's trash. You're hitting on 6s is not a rule.
Hitting on 6s sucks. Yeah, you don't love that. You don't have re-rolls, you don't have anything like that. You just hit on 6s.
Hitting on 6s is like what you are when your opponent has stacked negative modifiers on you and something else bad happened and you're like really sad about your unit that's hitting on 6s. Hitting on 6s is not the baseline that your unit will show up and do.
That's right. I mean, what you can do is you can give them sustained, which basically makes them hit on 5s again.
Stop investing in the Rocket Truck Squig Buggies.
Yeah, they don't do damage, I'm not sad about. Anyone who's been shot by these things an edition ago knows that these things are misery. You can now take 3. If they hit an opponent on a 4+, they're -2 move advance charge instead of being +1 to hit.
Okay.
But you do have to hit them.
I get that. With 6 plus D6 shots, you should average a hit. No, you shouldn't average any damage, but you should average a hit. And
then it's on a 4.
Then it's on a 4. So about half the time. Okay. Because it's still the same profile as all the other ones, and still OC3, how many points is it?
100.
It's a lowly get.
It's quite bad.
I was really about to argue for Puny Yumi, but it's just a lowly get.
It's just not great. 100 points for that is not ideal.
Yeah, okay.
And then we've got, I think it's probably going to end up here.
You were never
lowly get is for irredeemable, Chad.
That thing is irredeemable. Okay. Until it gets in the rule. You will never make one of our lists.
I'm not here to, yeah, that's true. I'm not here to try to make the Rocket Truck Squig Buggy
You know what might make our list?
Again.
Every single thing in Puny Yumi's with like an asterisk next to it might make our list. Like, bikers are fine.
Bikers are fine.
Bikers are fine.
All right, Megatrack Scrapjet. It's this guy right here. Mm-hmm. The Megatrack Scrapjet has a twin big shooter, has a rocket cannon and wing missiles. So that's right. Jot that down. When it ends a charge move on a 2 to a 5, the enemy unit suffers D3. On a 6, they take 3. The rocket cannon is D6 plus 1 and 9, 2, 3. And the wing missiles are 1 shot at 9, 2, 3. All of it's 24 inches. I don't know why they didn't just say it's D6 plus 2, but it is what it is.
It's different guns. You can allocate them differently, obviously.
Right. Yeah, clearly that's important. They hit on 5s. And let's find out how many points this Megatrack Scrapjet is.
So this one's trying to do the most damage, and I can respect it for that. It can tank shock somebody and do some charge mortals and like actually make a difference in the game. How many points are we talking?
80. I don't hate this thing.
I don't hate this thing. I think it's like up there with the shock jump dragster, and you can choose which one you want to do, whether you like teleporting or attempting to do damage.
I think that's true. I mean, this thing definitely is not served by going down to units of 1, because if this were a unit of 3, you could actually layer buffs on it,
yeah,
and then make its damage worth doing. But I'm not spending like 2 CP on an 80-point vehicle.
No, you're taking these things because they're autonomous and 0 commitment from your army to buff. Like you can obviously use your rules, but you're choosing not to because this thing wants to be its own standalone piece, and you're just evaluating on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we've got the Boom Daka Snazwagon, and that's the last non-character one.
Okay, I'm done with this. This got old very fast.
It's 12 shots, goes to 16 inside 12. Sustained hits 1, hits on 5s, obviously.
Okay, this is
at 5/1/1. While an enemy unit other than a monster vehicles within 6 inches of this model, they are -1 to hit.
That's not useless. Oh man, I was gonna make fun of this thing because it's like shooting heavy bolters in the orc army, which has got a big shooter strapped onto every other tank, and every orc is like a big shooter themselves in combat. But this thing's -1 to hit rule is like, imagine if a Nurgling squad move 14 or move 12 had OC3 and was kind of tough to kill.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't apply to monsters and vehicles, but if your opponent just charges your weirdly like annoying to kill stuff.
I mean, there's a lot of combat armies that are not monsters and vehicles.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's going to end up down here in like Puniumi sort of area.
I think it's kind of the same as those 3. It's like better than the other 2, but you're still not going to run all 3. You're going to pick one of these if you're going to pick any and like take it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that these are going to like by the end are going to come down to Puniumi as well.
Yeah, maybe. We really loaded up the boys section with these jumpy tanks. We'll see.
That's right. All right, we got a pain boss.
So, a pain boss. Sounds like the guy causes pain, but actually, no, he fixes pain.
No,
he feels no pain.
He does both. He actually both, like, look at that. That's a pain boy, but that's definitely causing some pain, right?
That's true.
That is causing some pain right there. He's got snippy snap. So, the pain boss has a claw where he actually does a decent amount of damage for no reason. While he's leading a unit, models in that unit have a 5-up feel no pain. He leads
good.
Beast Snag boys, who already have a 6-up.
Okay, so it's less good than just 0 to 5-up.
Yep, and he heals a Beast Snag a character within 3 for 3. This was a bigger deal when the Squig bosses were their own separate unit, could get shot and you could heal them up. But now that every Squig character is going to be every Beast Snag character is going to be in a unit, it's a lot less impactful to heal them.
You're like healing a Squig rider a little bit.
Once per battle, the Pain Boss and the Pain Boy, who will be up next, they can each, once per battle in your command phase, heal D3 guys out of their unit. Which I definitely forgot to do against Quentin.
I think that's like aggressively okay.
Yeah.
I don't think this guy is actually that great. So the reason I like the Pain Boy, not to be confused with the Pain Boss apparently, is the Pain Boy, we can get these together. The Pain Boy can join the boys and then give the boys 5 feel of pain, and in the Green Tide you now have 60 boys with 5 feel of pain, and that's just a lot of beef.
He also joins knobs. Pain Boy joins knobs.
That's also great because 2 mobs with feel of pain is amazing. Here we have the Pain Boss joining Beast Naga boys, and 6 up feeling pain becoming 5 up, same idea, but you're not using them the same way. You're not running 120 Beast Naga boys running around on foot like that. And Beast Naga boys really benefit from killy characters attached to make them actually hit harder.
Yeah, the Pain Boss I think is going to end up firmly in boy tier.
Yeah, really? I feel like he's a puny Yumi. But
I can see that. Like, you can still take 20-man units and stick 5 to feel the pain on them.
I suppose that's true.
Yeah, I think this whole Beast Snagger package goes in here.
Yeah.
The Pain Boy, on the other hand, I think is significantly better.
20-man boys with 5 feel of pain is legit.
This dude, also the Pain Boss, only 60 points.
How much is a Pain Boy?
70.
Oh.
The Pain Boy is much better. So the Pain Boy can join boys and knobs, Ludas, burner boys, and tank busters. Those last 3 you're not doing. But boys, you can take a 20-man boy squad in the Green Tide with a Pain Boy. It is very good. You make them a lot tougher to kill. You bring dudes back. Very nice.
And the man has a power claw.
He has a power claw.
He's got a power scalpel.
Yep, snippity snappity snap.
Yeah.
They both have a second rule that doesn't really matter. If he has an extra attack thing that if it rolls a 6 to wound against a non-vehicle, they take D6 mortal wounds. It's 1 attack, it's strength 2. So you better roll a 6.
Nice.
Yeah. I guess if you take him in the Warhorde, you get sustained.
powerful. So you're really taking for the feel and pain, obviously. I think he's good in the detachment. You're not really going to run him outside of it unless you want to do knobs of feel and pain.
Can I give you a little sneak peek at something I'm thinking of?
Oh yeah, sneak away.
So this is something I literally came up with in the last, like, I don't know, minute or so. You can join him to knobs.
Yeah.
Knobs in the knobs detachment have a 1 CP reroll hits, so you don't necessarily need a war boss in there to make them do damage. This dude gives their -1 to wound.
Yep.
Knobs are -1 to wound.
Yep.
I think they might need a war boss attached, which undermines this somewhat. But gives them 5 of feel and pain on multi-wound models, and once a game you get D3 knobs back.
That's pretty good.
That's
that
a
is
lot
actually
better,
good.
right?
Yeah.
Let me make sure that you have to have a war boss attached.
Sure. If that little combo works, and he's also got the utility of join the boys for that 20-man blob, I think he's got the teeth.
I think he's got the teeth. I think he's good in Green Tide. I think he's all right in Bully Boys.
Yeah.
Because attaching him to knobs, they don't get the -1 to wound. They do get a 5 feel and pain, which is better.
That's tough. Yeah.
That's tough, and he brings D3 of them back once a game, which is huge.
Right. All right, and then we got the Storm Boys. This is my favorite of the Orc Trash units, and they're very comparable to like all those buggies and the Storm and the War Bikers and all that. And if you're in a run minimum size squads and use them to just jump around, do actions, move block, that kind of thing, add some pressure.
In my opinion, they are dramatically better. They advance in charge and fall back in charge natively.
Yeah.
They used to, when they advance, they roll a die for every model in the unit, and every one is immortal. It was really annoying.
And they're cheap.
And they're 65 points.
I think of all the trash, I agree with you, Jet. They are dramatically better, and I think they're going to make pretty much almost every orc list.
I think they're pretty damn good.
Do you think they're the biggest boss?
I don't think they're the biggest boss. I think we're going to have some things better than them. They're just a role player who's better than the other role players.
Yeah, it's just a really good unit for what it's trying to do, and it outclasses the other people who are trying to compete with it.
Absolutely. All right, some Ludas. We got Ludas up. So Ludas have a bad gun, which hits on 6s. It's Def Gun. It is heavy, rapid fire 1, so inside 24 inches, you're 3 shots. Outside that, you're 2. Hits on 6s at 8-1-2. It is heavy, so if you stand still, you hit on 5s. And if you target an objective marker, you roll hits. Otherwise, you roll 1s to hit.
And there's a way to, if you're targeting your objectives, you get reroll hits. And then you can add the shock attack gun, which we talked about, which will give him reroll hits. And they're sort of cheap.
That's right. And the sergeant in the squad can get like a rocket launcher or something to that effect.
I think they're like so mediocre it hurts, but in the context of joining them to the big mech shock attack gun guy in the garage detachment, they become okay.
What if I told you they were 50 points for 5?
That makes me like them more. It still doesn't really make me like them enough to run them outside of like I'm doing the thing in the detachment, because I think they're competing with Burner Boys and this boy and Storm Boys, and you don't want 9 squads of 5 boys running around. This isn't Eldar, so you're really just gonna choose your Storm Boys, and then that's enough trash for you, unless you're gonna like take the guns.
It's 175 for a 10-man with a shock attack gun.
Yeah.
Which is not bad for
No,
that.
I think that's like a reasonable. You buff it up, it actually hurts people.
Yeah, I don't think it gets it out of boy tier.
No, I think with the context of its shiniest day on the best attachment, it is boy tier. Put it with the big pack. It's their package unit right there. Yeah.
These are coming down here.
You can bring those down. I really think they belong up there. They're fine.
Boy tier is so congested.
But they're so much better than Zogsgrad and Hunter Briggs. Fine.
Are they though?
Are they? Fine.
All
You know
right,
what is better?
Gretchen.
The best unit in the army, some may say.
I don't know who would say that, but apparently you found someone.
I found them.
So Gretchen are dirt cheap. They're 40 points. They used to be like 30 or something.
They find the shiny bits.
They do get the best bits, and I love them for that. So if they're on an objective you control, for each objective you control that has Gretchen on it, so one unit can touch 2 and roll 2 dice. You roll a die. On a 4-up, you get a CP. So that is pretty big.
Yeah.
Getting extra CP in orcs is just very nice. The fact one unit can touch 2 objectives, roll 2 dice is very nice. They don't do any damage. They don't survive any combat. They don't survive any shooting, and that's okay. That
You
is
still
okay.
have 10 wounds, 11 wounds.
You
really.
still have 12. The 100 is 2.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. So they are toughness 2, but they're cheap. They're dirt cheap. They're 10 model, 11 models that string out and just block off your backfield from opponents coming in. They get you CP. They hold objectives. They do secondaries. They are in the biggest boss tier.
Yeah, you're going to run exactly 1 squad, maybe 2, and you're going to put them in your backfield, and you're really never going to move them, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
That's about it. That's all they need to do. and you're good to go.
Yeah.
Don't try to make the grots better than they are. That won't work.
No, they're not going to run forward and like do anything. But what they are going to do is they are going to
hold that backfield.
They'll hold that backfield.
That's all I have to do.
And somebody pointed out on the Pain Boy is that when he crit wounds, you do D6 mortal wounds. His Erdy Syringe has anti-infantry 4+.
Nice.
So it's not even that unlikely that he goes bzz and does D6 to you.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
You know what else is good? The good old-fashioned Mega Boss.
Yeah.
Jack, you didn't say anything. You just put him up there.
We're getting there. Okay, so Mega Boss gets a lot of mileage out of going in Mega Knobs.
Mega Knobs, which we'll do them later, but they might be. We'll do them last. We'll save one of them. The coup de resistance.
The pièce de résistance.
Yeah, you heard.
Coup de grace.
Coup de grace.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So. Warboss in Mega Armor, to my mind, is the best character to lead them. It's about the same amount of points as the Big Mech in Mega Armor, and instead of resing a model, which is basically all the Big Mech does, this guy gives him +1 to hit and actually has really good combat.
Yeah.
This guy is on the Wa turn, 5 attacks, hitting on 2s with +1, strength 13, AP 2, damage 3 during the Wa. And there's going to be 2 turns of Wa in the Bully Boys. He gives his unit +1 to hit, so they actually can hit good now.
Yeah.
And
going to damage 3 on the Wog turn is just where you want to be.
Yeah, this dude hits. He hits real good. And
you want to join Mega Knobs with the Warboss because giving them the Warboss keyword is awesome.
The Warboss doesn't matter for them because they have the knobs and Mega Knobs keyword, which counts for everything.
Gotcha.
But you want them to be +1 to hit, so they actually do damage. And then this guy adds on to their damage by having melee profile himself.
This guy's great. You're gonna run Mega Knobs, and you're gonna run this guy with the Mega Knobs, unless you're running like a different kind of army, like Green Tide or the Orky Shooty Grot Tank one. Otherwise, Mega Knobs are probably making it in.
Yeah, I think the Warboss and Mega Armor plus Mega Knobs is just
like even if you don't run the Bully Boys, you're gonna run Mega Knobs. I think, at least in some capacity.
The other character who can join Mega Knobs, we'll just cover him right now.
The Big Mech and Mega Armor?
Big Mech and Mega Armor. He does a lot of things Mega Knobs don't want to do, which is real ones to hit and shooting.
The Mega Knobs are not interested in shooting.
No, they're not interested in shooting even a little bit.
They really want to advance and get past the move 5 problem.
Now, he does give the unit a 4-up invuln against ranged attacks only. But in Bully Boys, you have Armor of Contempt against ranged attacks for 1 CP, so it's not necessarily something you need.
Even without Bully Boys, 2-up armor with cover is a 1-up save. Like, how many weapons are AP 4+?
Yeah, what he does is he keeps them topped up. He doesn't make them hit harder.
Yeah.
So every command phase, every one of your command phases, he brings one back.
That's nice. See a little Necron action there.
It's quite good. Once a game, he heals D3 lost wounds to a model, which is he's pretty damn good. I'm not going to lie to you. He's pretty damn good.
In the context of Bully Boys, where your army is very hard to kill, spoiler, that can be really good for just stacking that durability. But Mega Knobs don't actually hit that hard, and the Warboss really makes a difference there.
It really does. So that's why I think this guy's just going to be slightly below.
He's got
like
teeth,
noticeably below.
but he actually doesn't have teeth. He actually just has healing tools.
Place that he might be better than the Warboss is in the Green Tide. You take the enhancement for you always count as being 10 or more models, which gives you reroll 1s to your saving throws. You put him in a unit of Mega Knobs, suddenly that Mega Knobs unit is very hard to shift. They come back, they heal, they can have feel no pain once a game. It's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
So potentially he's better there. I prefer the Mega Boss myself. But some people like the Big Mech and Mega Armor a little better. They're around the same points cost, so I like the Mega Boss.
Yeah. All right, so then we got the myriad of orc big guns, the tractor cannon and custom mega cannon and this and that or whatever.
Luckily, unlike the buggies, they're all the same datasheet.
Funny how that works.
Yeah,
Consistent.
which it's nice. I just have to find them. So mech guns, there we go. They have a variety. They got a few little number tweaks from the index, which helps them out quite a bit. The Smasher gun, to my mind, is the best. Went from D3 shots blast to D3 plus 1 shots blast at 933. They all hit on 4s. And when they target a unit that's at starting strength other than monsters and vehicles, they reroll hit rolls of 1.
That's pretty nifty.
It's nifty.
Nifty bird.
The Bubble Chukka is bad because each of the profiles are so different from each other that if you roll the wrong one, it's random. There's 3 different profiles, and you randomly determine which one you use. If you roll the wrong one, you're just not going to hurt the target you're looking at. At all. Like if you're targeting a vehicle and you end up with 611, bad. If you end up with 12 minus 3 d6 plus 3 and you want to target infantry, That's also not that great.
It's also not good.
But if you roll the dense bubble against vehicles, you are going to mess them up. Custom Mega Cannon is pretty decent at 12, only AP 1, unfortunately, damage D6. I think Smasher Gun is the best.
What's the Smasher Gun?
That's the D3 plus 1 at 9 minus 3, 3.
Yeah, solid shots there. What's the cost on these little guys?
These things are like 45 apiece.
Okay, so this is like a weird place where they are a strange unit. They sit in the backfield and have very limited line of sight options because they move mega slow.
55 each, sorry.
They're cheap but not free, and they don't really help you in anything besides just shooting a gun, so you're really just taking them for doing direct damage to your opponent.
Yeah, and Kyle is correct in the chat that you do roll before you select your target.
That is a big deal.
But a lot of the time you're going to get line of sight to like 1 or 2 things, especially if they move 3 inches.
Yeah, you can park them in a firing lane and just like shoot what goes in there, if anything, if assuming you're still there and they haven't shot you first. I don't think this is a thing that orcs care about as like a job. Like, you have grots to hold your backfield, so them holding your backfield is unnecessary. Their shooting is so limited by their line of sight and range issue, and they're not their range, but their move characteristic.
I think them coming from reserves is actually something to think about. It's 165, they show up and they go 3d3 plus 3 plus triple blast at 933 hitting on 4s is not actually a bad profile.
Yeah, it's a little fragile and kind of costly for like that type of gun shooting out of reserves, but it's not useless.
And it does stack with the other orc vehicle stuff if you're doing that detachment.
But my thing is, if you're doing that detachment and you're just pushing all the buttons and doing this and that and whatever, I just don't think you're going to use the strats on this unit.
A unit of 3 of these, you very well might. And also, you get to push the button regardless. You get to push the button on everybody.
That's pushing the button specifically, yes, but the strats and whatnot. I don't know. I really think these are like puny enemies, but where do you think they go?
I think they go like right in the middle of boy tier.
In the middle
I think
of
they're
boys?
all right. I think they're fine.
They're all right.
We got Defcoptas. Defcoptas, toughness 6, 4 wounds. They're speed freaks, so they get all the speed freak benefits. And they are the thing that if you take the speed freak detachment, they're the payoff. Like, I think all the other speed freak stuff is whatever. I think Defcoptas are the thing you will attempt to make work.
So talk to me about Defcoptas. What do speed freaks do for them?
So their profile, they have rockets that are twin linked, so they reroll their wounds on them. Whenever they end a normal move, you roll a d6 for every model in this unit, a unit you moved over. On a 4-up, you take a mortal wound. And they're just generally kind of tough. They're annoying to kill at 4 wounds at toughness 6 with OC 2. And they have mediocre combat, but you can take them in squads of up to 6 where they pump out a lot of attacks. They advance and shoot. They can get sustained or sustained 2 if your opponent's close to you. They can get lethal or they can get crit 5s.
So you're really working hard to make this unit just shoot pretty effectively.
You're working pretty damn hard to make them shoot effectively, but nothing else in Speed Freaks does.
Well, how many points is this unit?
It's 100 for 3, 200 for 6.
What about as a mission playing a like skirmishy tool, like generally 100 points for 3?
Feels a little expensive to me.
A little pricey, yeah.
A little pricey. Now, I will say copter rockets, if you're firing out an average of 12 shots, is pretty nasty with sustained 2.
Yeah, that's fair. At that point,
linked.
you're averaging around
8 hits.
Right, 8 hits, and then no, it's more like 9. But then you're twin linked, you're strength 8, so it's not no damage.
Yeah,
depending on what you're shooting at.
Sustained 2 hitting on 5s is essentially hitting on 3s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, math-wise. So it's all right. It is the payoff for Speed Freaks, but it's still not. It's not what you get for firing rockets out of a different orc detachment. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, I think these are they're some oomies.
I think they're oomies.
I think they're better than the. I don't even think they're better than buggies.
No, I think
Are they vehicles?
Yes.
Okay, they give up. Bring it down times 1,000.
Yes, each one is like, 2 bring it down
like,
points. It's not ideal.
I kind of feel like that makes them lonely gets.
It doesn't make them lonely gets, but it does make them not awesome.
But you know what is awesome? Jay with the $5 Canadian super chat. Are you transporting any Mega Knobs and Bully Boys, or one goes in Deep Strike, and if you are taking gas, one has to slog?
So yes, because that leaves a third one for sure. One that wants to transport. Also, you don't necessarily have to take gas. I agree one goes in Deep Strike and one goes in a transport. If you're taking Gaz, that one does start on the board. Yeah. And Gaz is a nasty jerk by himself, and that's great. If you're not taking Gaz, then that also goes into transport, which is what I'm doing for Bully Boys right now. I think Gaz is really good. We're going to talk about him right now.
Awesome. Let's get into Gaz. Thank you so much for your super chat, Jay.
So he is exactly the same as he was before the Codex came out, but they made one slight little, tiny little, small little, they gave him crit 5s.
Crit 5s on Gazgul Thraka.
So in the Warhorde, his unit has sustained lethal 5s on the Wa turn.
Yeah.
Which is pretty gross. And in general, so he gives a 12-inch lethal hits aura off of Makari to the entire army.
Then that's where I think it happens. Because then, like, all of your boys that have, like, a toughness high and 2-up save and 3-up save problem, now they just connect.
Yeah, Beast Snagga boys with that do a lot of damage, especially in the Warhorde where you can just go crit 5s and then they just demolish Catan like they don't exist.
Oh my god.
Yeah, crit 5s, lethal hits, sustained hits in the Warhorde, reroll to wound, a reroll to hit, wounding on 5s. They're just like, bye, which is sick.
Gaz is such an amazing force multiplier.
He also hits really hard and he makes his unit +1 to hit and +1 to wound and crit 5s.
Yeah, nothing survives getting hit by Gaz. Like, what is that? Maybe the Grading Clean one, maybe.
He also gained a sweep profile, which I missed in the review. He gained a sweep profile at 12 attacks at 822, which is just pretty good.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So I think Gaz is definitely up there in the biggest boss. I think he's leading the biggest boss category. I mean, he's Gazgul Thraka.
I don't think he's better than these.
Well, he's Gazgul Thraka.
Yeah, he is Gazgul. So if he's in the tier, I think he's the biggest boss.
That's what I'm like.
Well, we're going to get something else.
You're going to put something bigger than Gazgul Thraka?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah, yes, I will. All right, Snickrot. Snickrot. Let's find out what Snickety Rot does. I know he leads a unit of commandos. He was better when he was a solo character. I know that for a fact. Boss Snickrot leads commandos. He gives them cover, which everything in the game has right now. Once per battle in your movement phase, you pick them up and you put them down and away. This isn't at the end of your opponent's turn, so you don't have to try to predict your cards. You just see, oh, I drew behind enemy lines to play homers.
I love that utility. I also love that he is just a lone op on his own. You can literally just use him as an orc lone op, which is something that you just didn't have before.
That's true. So I don't think you lead commandos with him. I do think you use his lone operative because he can still teleport himself.
Yeah, the teleporting lone op is an amazing tool for mission play. Like, seriously amazing. If he's not overcosted, he is going to go up there in, like, at least the Teeth category.
So he did not used to have lone op. So he used to be 85 points. And Snickrot would be insane at 85 right now with that. Boss Snickrot, he's 105 now, which I think is, for gaining lone op, I think he's a decent lone op. He teleports once a game, and he can beat up a decent amount of stuff.
Yeah.
He infiltrates as well, which is pretty dope. He has stealth.
Infiltrating a lone op is a great rule. It lets you basically start the game with a lot of tempo on an objective.
He has a twin-linked melee weapon at 612 with precision base. So he's pretty decent.
I think he's got the teeth.
I think he's got the teeth.
If he was cheaper, he would be the biggest boss, but he's a little pricey, so he's just got the teeth.
I think him by himself is what you want to do. Commando's not about that.
I don't hate the Commandos thing, but, like, you know, him by himself is awesome.
It's weird. If he joins Commandos, he can be shot. If he doesn't, he can't.
If he's joining Commandos, it's like your Commandos unit is trying to do a lot of different things. This man on his own, he's a singular purpose in life.
All right, Squighog boys.
Squighogs. And this unit, it might be the unit that single-handedly changed the most in all of Orcs. They no longer are a standalone.
I think there's...
Well, let's not put the cart before the horse. Because we can always amend what we say later. But Squighogs definitely changed in functionality in terms of, like, they now have a character that's no longer a character attached to them. The knob on a Squig dude joins them, and that's like a 4-man unit, and it can double to an 8-man squad. And they can now be joined by the Beast Boss on Squigosaur, which is totally different as well. So you have, like, this little 9-man Death Star of a big man, two knobs, and 6 dudes. And that's pretty different than the 6+1 you used to get before.
It is, yeah. It's quite different. It's also cheaper. It's 300 now for 8 as opposed to 250 for 6, which is a significant difference. You can include a lot of models if you really want to. If you want to, you can take 24 of these, and I don't know what kills that quickly, to be quite honest with you. Having two 4-wound duders at the front of the unit that then hit harder, I don't know what handles a sheer quantity of beef. Otherwise, they are basically the same. They ignore modifiers to move and advance and charge, which is great. When your opponent tries to slow you down, it's a big deal. They still have bomb squigs, and then for every 4 models in the unit, they get an extra bomb squig. they're just a big wall of beef that you can throw up. You don't have to, but you can.
This is not an auto-include unit, but man, is it a great unit.
Yeah, if you want to include them as 3x4, I think they're pretty good at that. If you want to include them as like 2x4, I think they're pretty good. If you want to include them as 3x8, I think they're pretty good.
Yeah.
I think they're just generally...
They're just good, and they go up kind of linearly, which is rare for a unit, actually, where, the more you take, the better it is.
Yeah, it's usually you want, like, there's a critical mass that you want or don't want.
Well, you could take 3 or 6 or 4 or 8 and it's like good, or you could take 24 and it's good.
Yeah, but I think it always lands at like this level of good.
It's got the teeth, but it's not the biggest and the bestest.
All right.
But Archon Big Will, welcome to the Warm as a bronze member. Thank you so much for your support. You are the biggest and bestest, even though you're an Archon.
100%. Yeah, we don't do Drakari here. Not Nick's been clean of Drakari for a while. All right, Flash Gits. Probably the biggest loser in the Codex ever since their daddy abandoned them.
Yeah, Flash Gits go pew 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 pew, but no longer with all the rules that Badruk gave them. So,
which is a bit sad. I wish they could be joined by mechs, but they just can't.
They used to be the quintessential orc shooting unit that actually gave this army a credible shooting phase, and now they're like an orc shooting unit that is okay, I guess.
Yeah, what you're gonna do if you want to use them is you're going to put them in a battle wagon. You take a mech, give the battle wagon +1 to hit, shoot out of the top of the battle wagon, so you're hitting on 4s with sustained, and then at some point you get out, you fire your 4 shots now, and you charge.
Yeah.
And you're going to do a lot less damage than you did before with Badruk, and that just is what it is. They're also not knobs.
They used to be knobs.
They at least have the stat line of knobs, and
Yeah.
it didn't really matter what their keywords were.
Right.
But now that they're not knobs, that kind of matters for bully boys.
Kind of like how Beast Naga boys and Burner boys and Storm boys are somehow not boys.
Yep.
Weird.
So ultimately, I think this is left as a unit that doesn't really. They didn't like change the unit, so they didn't change. They're not going to change the cost. Is my guess. But the fact that you can't take Badruk for them just makes them a lot worse.
Yeah, I think they might just be like boys,
I think they're still boys. They're not that expensive. You can take a unit of 5, they shoot some, they charge some,
Yeah.
they do some damage.
If you're trying to build an orc army that isn't like the shooting detachment, you still need to bring some shooting probably, and like they can still do that job, just worse at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They used to be like biggest boss tier, but now they're just kind of a little sad.
Now they're boys.
Now they're boys.
Well, they lost their biggest boss.
They did lost their biggest boss, but you know who is the biggest boss? The War Boss.
The War Boss, the regular old War Boss, iconic as well. Oh, straight to the tier. No
Straight to the
questions
tippity
asked.
top. So the War Boss is great because he gives the War Boss keyword to boys. He buffs knobs up. He's good in a bunch of units. He's good in boys. He's good in knobs. So he himself has a pretty decent punch. He has 4 attacks on his Power Claw, but don't let that fool you. It's actually 9. Because while it's during the WA, which happens for 2 turns for the Bully Boys, he has +4 attacks, and the WA gives him +1. So that's 9 attacks off of Power Claw.
It's a lot of attacks.
It's a lot of damn attacks, man. It hits. It really does hit. And he gives his unit +1 to hit, so he goes to hitting on 2s. All the Power Claws in the unit go to hitting on 3s. In a unit of knobs, he gives them -1 to wound if your strength is higher than their toughness. He's just damn good. He's also dirt cheap. He's 65 points.
Oh, you're taking 3 of these. This is the assassinate we're talking about. Now you're seeing it. Look at that biggest boss category. We got 3 characters in there already.
That's right. 10 boys plus a War Boss is 150.
That's amazing.
215 in a truck.
215, you get 2 units, becomes 3 units if the leader rule stops happening. And like they hit so hard and the truck deploys your homers and screens. Like it's amazing.
Yeah, so in knobs, he's 175 for him plus unit 5 knobs, which is pretty damn good. And then he's 150 plus him plus unit 10 boys. The 10 boys don't hit as hard, but they are more bodies. They sticky objectives. They're higher OC. All good. Just all good.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
The biggest stuff.
The biggest stuff. The
boss
bestest stuff. The mech.
The regular old mech.
The regular old mech is a lone op if he's within 3 inches of a vehicle.
Oh.
And yeah, it's neato.
That could actually be like a little reason to include one of those random mech guns to like have a mech nearby it. Probably not, but I'm just thinking of some synergies.
Yeah, absolutely. So regular mech does that, and then at the end of your movement phase, he heals a vehicle unit for D3 lost wounds and gives them +1 to hit.
It's nice.
It's the end of your movement phase, so we can start in a battle wagon, drive up, get out of the battle wagon, and start tinking on the battle wagon.
You know where I think this would be really, really helpful?
Where would this be really, really
In
helpful?
the Grot tank detachment.
Yeah, it is vehicle model. Gets +1 to hit.
Okay, but maybe later on this tier list we'll cover some big vehicle models.
Yeah, it would never happen.
That would never happen.
But yes, mech.
In the context of doing exactly that job, he's the biggest boss, I would say. But he's also useless in like every other scenario.
I'm gonna put him in God's to teeth.
He's God's teeth. It's not auto include or anything. Like everything in here is like your list is probably gonna be made of this stuff, guys. Is like a choice, and then everything else is like if you're building for it,
Yeah,
include it.
The way the orc book is written, once you decide what detachment you're taking, this whole thing just like completely shifts.
Yeah.
Because if you decide you're taking to big hunt, kill rigs become biggest boss. Like everything that isn't Beast Saga drops way down. But if you're in Bully Boys, right? You know, any knobs, war boss, anything like that hits the top, and
Orcs really like build their army for the detachments they're trying to play.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So then we've got the other lobster man.
Mozrog. He's got a shark. He's got the great white squig. Where'd they put this boy, though, is the real question. So he also likes leading units. Seriously, where did they put him? There he is. He also likes leading units. He go into toughness 8 with 8 wounds and a 5-up feel no pain, 4-up invuln still. He still hits pretty hard because he adds +1 damage against monster and vehicles, +2 against Titanic, and his attacks are pretty decent. And but unfortunately, he's not as good at leading a unit.
No.
When he's leading a unit, what he gives you that unit is not necessarily a buff. It's when they die on a 4-up, they fight on death, which is all right, but it's not. I'm not going to buy a guy who is, I believe, 165
It
to
would
give
just
that
be
to
if
a
you
unit.
wanted him as a leader for your squig hogs, just because he hits harder than a regular guy.
He does. You might still just run him by himself, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like, you might just run him by himself, and that's fine.
I think he's actually quite decent still. I think he's got teeth.
You think he's got teeth?
I think he's got teeth.
I'm never going to rank this boy bad, but I think he's... I think he wants to run solo. I don't think his buff for his unit is that great.
Yeah, no, it's really, when I look at the orc characters, it's not only about the buff that they give their unit, like war bosses get +1 hit is awesome, some of the other ones are less awesome, but the character himself has a profile, so you're adding that model to your unit.
Yeah, let me see how much he went down by. I don't know if he did. I would assume he would have to, though. Yeah, he went down 30 points.
Yeah.
So that's not bad. 165, he's still pretty dead tough.
Yeah.
He's just not as ridiculously tough as he used to be.
Of course, this is all based on the points we're looking at in the physical copy of the Codex, not any upcoming Minotaur and field manuals that'll change it all anyway.
No, yeah, I mean, this is just our best guess as to where it's going to be. I think you can defend him by himself a lot better than you can defend the regular beast.
I agree with
boss.
that, yeah.
All right, next up we've got commandos.
Commandos. So these are orcs that infiltrate. And when I think about what orcs do conceptually, which is like a forward pressure, run in your face army, I'm always shocked that orc lists do not run 30 of these.
Well, let me explain why they don't.
Okay.
They're 135, you have to take a unit of 10, and their rule is they can't be overwatched.
That's a good rule, Jack.
No, it's a good thing to have. It is not good as their one rule.
Whatever. I mean, 135 for 10 boys is expensive, and they don't hit particularly hard. They're really paying for that infiltrate. They have like a weird myriad of weapons, a power thing.
Yeah, they've got a breacher ram and a power claw, and that's basically it.
I think they're boys. They're boys that infiltrate that cost more. I like that, but I can see how it's overcosted.
Yeah, every time I think about putting them in a list, it's just so hard to justify them against other stuff. I think they end up...
No, they're definitely boys.
135, Nick? They're toughness 5 with 1 wound and a 5-up.
That's okay.
It's not
charge
okay.
turn 1.
You're not going to do that.
You could. You build your list around it differently.
Even somebody like me who loves to charge as soon as possible is not going to charge on turn 1 with commandos.
Only because they're 135, but I think they're conceptually awesome.
All right, tank busters.
Tank busters. They bust those tanks.
They do, and it makes them feel good. So, like Ghostbusters. Tank busters, when they target a monster or vehicle, they get +1 to hit and +1 to wound. And they have 2 bomb squigs per 5 models. Mm-hmm. And they have rocket launches.
Yep.
So that sounds really good. Why don't I like them? They're really expensive, and only 3 models get rocket launches. One guy gets a tank hammer, which only does things in close combat, and not even that much. Mm-hmm. And one guy gets a pair of rocket pistols, which is terrible.
Yeah, they really have a wide array of weapons that you really don't want to take. But bomb squigs are awesome.
Bomb squigs are awesome. I believe they're also 135 for 5.
They're pricey. I think they're a little cheaper than that, but it's been a minute since I've looked at the orc points, and they keep changing on.
They're 110 for 5. That is an insane amount of points.
Like, that's what I mean. You know, like when you look at 110 for 5 tank busters, that's just never happening. 135 for 10 commandos, I could see it.
No, they're just in the same tier.
I think they're lowly kids. 110 for 5 orc bodies, I will never pay for that.
But they have +1
I
hit
will
and win
never
rocket
pay for
launches. Well, they have +1 hit and win rocket launches. 3 of them.
Okay, if that's going there, you just got me on 2 in a row. He's going there. Done.
Fire.
No, you cannot. You cannot.
He's below the squid.
He does the battle shocks.
Killicans. Killicans are they got a new fresh lease on life. They're 250 for 6. They're toughness 6 with 5 wounds and a 3-up save, which is hella durable. Like, that is ridiculously durable for 250 for 6. Every time they shoot, on a 3 to a 4, you roll a die. On a 3 to a 4, you get +1 strength to the ranged weapons. On a 5 to a 6, they get +1 shot. On a 1 to a 2, they take d6 mortal wounds.
Yeah.
You can roll that die. You don't have to. They each have a rocket launcher. You're not taking the other ones. It's just rocket launchers, like wildly better. And the can claw actually is pretty good because there's a strat that makes them do pretty good damage in combat.
Killicans are like stupidly hilarious and cheap. You get 6 of them for 250. They're decently tough to kill. They have 3 up armor they cover. They have 5 up invulns. They also hit really.
They have 6 up in. Or well, 5 up, yeah.
Really, really, really hard in the stupid orc pew 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 detachment.
Yeah, and unlike the grot tanks, they can actually push because they can charge.
Are you just running cans at your opponent? These little soup cans of death.
Yeah, if your opponent decides to charge you to make your guns shut up, you're just like, you go clanking claws.
Clanking claws. Now, there is the chance that you push the button too hard and you kill your own army with this.
But you're definitely going to kill your opponent's army with it.
Yeah, I really want to see this detachment on the board. Once I see it, I'll have a better frame of reference. I think the Killicans are better than the Dreadnought.
I think they're in biggest boss.
You think they're biggest boss?
I think they're biggest boss.
Oh, man.
Clank and Claws, they get +2 strength and +1 damage on their on their can claws.
They're just still so easily move blocked, still not actually hard to kill, and like...
No, they are hard to kill, because if you take multiple units that are all toughness 6 with 5 wounds and a 3-up, your opponent is not chewing through that very quickly.
That's true. Like, it's easy to kill like a few Killicans, it's not easy to kill 18.
Yeah, and they will charge your move blocks. They'll shoot past them, charge, get up board. Now there's more guys in front of you, like a big wall of 18 of them. 750 for 18, and they're just moving, charging, shooting, moving, shooting, charging, moving, shooting, charging up the board onto objectives. They're also OC2.
Their best life. You know, that is them on their best day described right there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think they're biggest boss. I could see God's teeth. They got teeth. I definitely think it's way better than the Dreadnought. I'm not conceding that, but we're talking Gazgul and the truck and Grots. It's not there. It's not
I think I legitimately think they're better than Gazgul.
I mean, in the context of that specific army doing that specific thing, but as a unit,
yeah. I mean, but that's how we've been doing it, right? Like the mega boss in the Killican detachment is not making the cut.
Well, you're right, but this is generic, not just that detachment. I don't know. I think it's.
I'll put it there, but I really do think it's like up here-ish.
It's only in that specific list. Like, it's not. I'm trying to be like well-rounded for the orcs here, you know, a little bit.
We've got the character bike man, the character buggy, the Death Killer War Trike. So he leads war bikers. He gives them +1 to hit in melee only, and every time they advance, you just go 6.
Yeah.
And in Speed Freaks, you can advance and shoot.
Yeah.
So it's all right. He's a little expensive. I believe he's 85. He has
not as much as I thought.
His 4 attacks in combat.
He doesn't do that much.
5 attacks on the Wa turn.
He also gives a bring it down and assassinate.
He has a flamer at AP1, a heavy flamer.
He's very mediocre in the same way that all the buggies are mediocre.
The one time I think he's good. I think you take him in Speed Freaks detachment, you're not happy about it. I think the one time he's like quite good is in the Warhorde. You give him the 4-up Feeling the Pain, and then he runs around.
Then he's annoying.
Yep, he runs around. He has an assault weapon, so that means he flat advances 6 and does actions.
Yeah.
So then I think he's pretty decent.
So I think if you're doing it in the Warhorde, he's like good enough to run as like a boy. Like he's like with the 4 Feeling the Pain enhancement, he's fine. He's like a good unit in the same way lots of those are good units. But I think like generic data sheet, he's a puny Yumi.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I think that's the only use is in the is in the Warhorde where you give him a 4 Feel No Pain, then I think he's pretty good.
I mean, maybe for those lists, but I guarantee in Speed Freaks he's getting taken. You're just not excited about them Speed Freaks. I think he's a puny Yumi, though. You think he's there?
Yeah, I'm willing to make a trade, though.
Okay, I think the Warbikers have got to come up. Not out of the tier that they are in, but to the front of that tier. They're better than most of that crap.
That's fair.
Okay.
Okay, I do like that these have continued to get pushed down.
Look, I don't agree with that. I think they are better than he is at that job. At the job. Like, the buggies don't give up assassinate and are actually attempting to do something. He just has a weird scenario where he gets a 4 Feel No Pain with one specific enhancement.
Yeah, I mean, the question is, right, like, if we take any of these, if we take the War Boss and the Speed Freaks detachment, he's garbage. He's, like, down here.
But we're not talking about that. We're kind of being detachment agnostic, not specifically in the wrong detachment, you know. Detachment agnostic, this guy kind of sucks. The
right.
Truck.
But I think you rate him based off his best use case, because otherwise,
okay.
Yeah. All right, we've got the Weird Boy. The Weird Boy teleports a unit on a 2-up. Now, it is a bit awkward if you have multiple Weird Boys, which I think you will in Green Tide. If you roll a die, you roll 1, he does D6 mortal wounds to his unit, which is not fun. But also, only 1 unit on the board can attempt to teleport.
Yeah.
Which means that you pick, this unit would like to teleport, and you roll a 1, nobody's teleporting.
Yeah, but if you have 3.
If you have, no, you can't do it multiple
you're screwed
times.
if you're doing.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Taking multiples is just like insurance in case of them die.
Yeah, taking multiples is I would like to teleport on different turns.
Right.
Because only 1 of the 3 units can be selected to try to teleport each turn, and then you roll the 1, you're like, oh, nobody's teleporting.
Yes.
That being said, he's still really good in Green Tide.
Yeah.
Teleporting the unit, giving them bonuses to charge, charging, tagging a bunch of stuff out. It's pretty good.
I think in Green Tide, this guy is like so auto-included hurts. In most orc lists, he's like a decent tool.
Yeah, I think he ends up in Gots to Teeth along with the Pain Boy.
He's Gots to Teeth. In the right usage, he's awesome. And then otherwise, he's like okay.
Yeah. So there's a question here about the Mega Knobs 4+ Feel No Pain, whether it extends to a character. It does for that activation. Then if there's no more Mega Knobs left, you lose the 4-up Feel No Pain.
Nice. All right, so we got the big chonguses.
Yep, we're going to do them together, the Morkanaut and the Gorkanaut. So the Morkanaut and the Gorkanaut are weird and big and apparently quite good.
They're orc vehicle walkers, which can receive a variety of dread detachment buffs.
They are gigantic. They are toughness 12, 20 wounds with a 3-up, 5-up, and OC 8.
So it's like a little bit smaller in stat line than like an Imperial Knight big one. It's still quite big.
Yes. Each time this model makes a normal, advance, or fallback move, it moves over enemies and things that are less than 4 inches, which is very nice in like WTC terrain, things like that.
It's like a necessary rule to try to play with these things, with how clunky they are.
It has towering, so it can just tow into terrain. And every time it makes a ranged attack, if you are in the WA, you have +1 to hit.
Yeah.
You can also tink to give him another +1 to hit, so you generally be hitting on 4s. So he is equipped with a custom Mega Blasta, custom Mega Zappa, 2 rocket launchers, 2 twin big shooters, and a claw. None of this is optional. You can't switch him in and out, so we can just analyze his guns. He has all of them. So the custom Mega Zappa is D6 + 3 at 10 - 2 D6. Hits on 5s, goes to 4s if you mech them. You have 2 rocket launchers that are rocket launchers, 2 twin big shooters, custom Mega Blast, which is 3 shots at 9 2 D6. This thing seems alright. What it does really well is it takes buffs really well, because it is the biggest thing that be shooting is the hardest, and its claw is pretty decent, especially with tank shock.
Yeah.
So this thing, the Morkanaut, runs up and gets every buff under the sun. Like, you reroll 1s to hit, you get sustained, you get crit 5s, like, you just get a whole bunch of buffs. You get every buff in the Dread Mob detachment.
Yeah.
You have towering, so it's a lot easier to see through things, and you just blast something into the nether realm.
Something just dies. It's insane. But I think multiple things just die. It's crazy, but you can put on this thing. So we talk about all the buffs in the detachment. We talk about how cans become super awesome, or grot tanks become super awesome, and that's all true. But you got to pick one thing to receive the buffs of the stratagem. You can't strat 7 different units in a turn. It's not real. But this guy's probably what you're stratting if you're taking one.
Yeah, we have Mark in chat saying it's also a transport, which is true.
Mark?
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, I think I think it's got the teeth. I'm not sure if it's the biggest boss.
So the one problem I have with this is if you do layer buffs, it gets multiple hazardouses. And then every single weapon gets double hazardous, which means all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guns it has will overcharge on 1s and 2s.
I think honestly, you just can't afford to do that unless you're really doing a knockout punch to your opponent. If you're just like turn 1, I'm going to shoot that tank. You just roll the dice. Don't try to kill it.
You can't half health your Morkanaut based off of trying to shoot all its guns.
No, so that is going to limit how crazy it actually gets, and that's why I keep saying I really want to see this detachment. These hazardous rolls are negligible or horrible for you based on how you roll, and there's no predicting that. So I just don't think it's the biggest boss.
I don't think it's the biggest boss either. I think Killicams are a much better payoff than Morkanaut. I think the Morkanaut's all right. Let me see how many points it is.
Yeah, that's always a thing.
Yeah, because if it's like 350, then I'm going crazy over here.
Yeah.
The Morkanaut, it is...
Oh no. Oh no.
Okay, it's 295.
Oh, that's so stupid. That's so dumb. Why is it like 295? What is that?
Yeah, I don't know why that.
I actually still don't think it's the biggest boss.
295, brother.
Let me talk here. All right, I play demons, and that gives me a lot of context on big models' durability per their points cost. Now, there's things that exist like the Great and Clean one at 230, and he is substantially tougher than your Morkanaut. 65 points cheaper, obviously way less damaging. But you know, durability is an enormous factor when you're playing a Titanic model because it's just getting seen by the world and shot back, and it's killing itself. And then I can compare it to like Fate Weaver, who's 285, very similar, or used to be. And Lord Change is 285. And again, Lord Change is similar durability, 4 up invul instead of the 5 invul, 2 less wounds. Pretty close. Toughness 10 though. And it's obviously not killing itself the way the Morkanaut is. And like, you know, when you're 300 points and you get to fire 1 time and then you're killed back, it is not worth it.
So I think if it's the only thing out there, then that is true. But the problem is you're gonna have like 2 of these, a bunch of Killicans, a bunch of other stuff, and if you're taking time out of your day to go kill the Morkanaut, you're just not going to be efficient at it no matter what you do. You will bring it down, people will kill the Morkanaut, but it's under 300 points. The Gorkanaut's 280, and like there is a point where you can just stack multiple of the same profiles, and just your opponent kills.
Let's give it a shot.
All right, we are reconnected.
All right, so that brings us to the Gorkanaut. And for those of you who are watching live, if you cut out for like a minute, just let us know. We'll rehash all that Morkanaut talk. But let's keep going to that Gorkanaut. We should be back now.
Okay, so the Gorkanaut is even cheaper. It gets its +1 to hit in melee instead of shooting, but I think a mech just makes it hit on 4s anyway, so you just do that.
Right.
And it has a better attack. It has 1 more attack on its claw, and it has 3 more attacks on its sweep, which is very helpful. As I said, it's also 15 points cheaper. It comes with a 6-up invul, not a 5-up, but if it's in the water and you get a 5-up, you're often going to have cover. Maybe that's a big difference, maybe it isn't. It comes with a Deathstorm Mega Shooter, which is 611, but 20 shots. But you can bigger shells for bigger gets and make it damage 2.
But then you're hazardous. But it's only 1 gun.
Then you're hazardous. And then you have 2 rocket launchers, a Scorcha, 2 twin big shooters, and a claw. This one's 280. I think the Morkanaut's a little better, but the Deathstorm Mega Shoot is going to be fun to shoot.
This one's basically better at combat. The other one's better at shooting is the idea here.
Yeah, I think they're both good at shooting, to be fair. I think the Morkanaut is the Gorkanaut's a little better at combat and cheaper.
Good at shooting, yeah.
Yeah, the Gorkanaut is better at combat and cheaper, which is dope. But the Morkanaut's a little more survivable, a little better at shooting. I think the Morkanaut's probably better.
Yeah, I agree, it's better.
280 for a knight profile is just like wildly out of line with where those profiles should be.
I don't even know if that's true. I kind of feel like knights are just overcosted, actually. I'm basing this off of demons, of course.
Yeah, again, I think this might have been cut out during the time when we lost our connection. My theory is that demons have a problem where they get hit for 5 turns because they can't stop their opponent from shooting.
Right.
Whereas things like this, or especially the mech detachment,
they can stop their opponent from shooting by killing them.
They will kill your opponent, and your opponent will have diminishing returns on their shooting.
Different armies, different contexts.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think the Gorkanaut's going to land somewhere in about this area. I think the Morkanaut's better.
Yeah, for sure.
But still pretty damn good.
Let's talk about the Stompa.
Everyone likes the Stompa. I want a Stompa. I just want to own one, put it on my shelf.
stomp on things?
Yep, so let me start with the points cost, because that's going to influence a lot of this.
Sure.
800.
Okay, I really want to put it in lowly get just because it costs 800. Like, how good can it be?
Listen, I have had John talking about the Stompa for enough time that I'm like, all right, fine, let's give it a.
All right, tell me about the Stompa.
It's toughness 14 with a 2-up, 6-up, and 30 wounds. OC 12. Its melee is good. Obviously, we don't really need to cover that, but you add 1 to nearby battle shocks. That's pretty sick, right?
Put him in lowly get with the other battle shock guy. I hear you.
And it moves over things that are 4 inches or less. It just has a lot. And I mean a lot of guns.
Okay.
The super rockets, or what is it? The death cannon averages a big knight. I think John did the average, and just like gone. Just like.
Is that like if you put 25 buffs on this thing? I'm assuming.
Yes, but if you're spending for an 800 point model.
Oh no, you're going to do that. I just want the context.
Yes. This is if you put every buff. He just go. And blow a knight away with his big gun.
You're not running this guy and making your Morka not stupid, you know?
Now, I do think the downside is that this thing has 1,000,000 guns and will do 9 damage to itself minimum every turn if you do double buff it. So I think what you do is you take bigger shells for bigger gets, or you take one, you get one layer of hazardous.
Well,
and
let's go through his profiles, because I'm still not seeing 810. We're just he's got big guns. He's better at big guns. He's 810 points.
So 3d6 shots at strength 14, AP3 damage d6.
They hit on what?
They hit on 4s because you're getting +1 to hit.
And then obviously sustained and whatever.
Yeah, sustain and sustain 2 and +1 to hit and +1 to wound or whatever. We'll go through the buffs in a second. I forget. There's just 1,000,000 of them. And then he has 3 big shootas. He has a Super Gatla, which is 20 shots at 712, which goes to 713 with bigger shells for bigger gets.
Yeah.
And then you have Super Rockets, which are d6 shots at 12 minus 3 damage, d6 plus 2, which also takes buffs really, really well at 100-inch range.
Yeah.
Then you have a Mega Choppa and a bunch of like little guns. So these 3 guns together can really mess up tanks individually. Like this thing could conceivably split fire and kill 3 tanks.
Right. So I can see this guy being an amazing stat check style army. If you just put this guy along with 18 kilocans in front of your opponent and they line up against you, they're going to lose. Like that, there's no questions about that. I think because this model is 810 points.
It's 800 even, but yeah.
Sure. You only have 1,200 points left to play with your Orc army list, and you have to take the Big Mets to turn him on, take the Grots and all those other units. So you only have so much stuff that does things besides him. And the question is really, can you make a functional army surround him while he just tables whatever he looks at and does his thing? And I'm not sure. That's a complicated question, but my gut through 20 years of playing this game tells me you really are just going to create a stat check. And stat checks just aren't that great typically. They're good. They're not that great.
They can be. I certainly don't think this one leads to a great stat check.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I think he's going to end up like down here-ish.
Yeah, I don't think he's like bad, but I mean he's 800 points. Like how good can something be in Warhammer?
He also is going to be taking hazardous checks, and you definitely don't want him to melt himself.
If he kills 3 Caladius and then dies, he still hasn't earned his points back.
Yeah, I don't think he kills 3 Caladius and then dies. Like, he could conceivably kill 2, tank the other one, kill the third, and then be running around the board at like 10 wounds left, still holding objectives, still shooting things.
If he does more than that, and like obviously Warhammer is not so simple as to value like, did I kill my points back? But when you take an 800 point model, which is there to murder your opponent, it kind of is, did I make my points back?
Yeah. So I think he's all right. I think you're going to make a very interesting list with him. I don't think it's going to be top tier as much.
Yeah, like imagine like you put him in front of the knight army that we just talked about. He shoots his gun and kills the knight, and he damages another knight, and then he just dies. And like, was that worth it? I don't think that was worth it.
Yeah, that's if they're able to kill him, which is so like.
Or if he kills himself.
Wait a minute, hold on. The mech detachment has at 1 CP minus 1 damage.
I mean, that helps against a variety of damage 2 shots, but it's not going to save you from the damage 9 multi-meltas.
Depends.
It certainly depends. Damage is not a bad rule, don't get me wrong.
So like a lot, that'll definitely help it survive through a lot, but it's still 800 points in one package with hazardous and whatnot.
It's still going to do a lot to itself.
Yeah, so I think here is about.
Let's put it there.
Right.
That's fine. So, winding down, we've got
knobs.
Regular old knobs. Great unit, hits super hard. Kind of expensive for the orc profile, but you get 2 wounds.
There are 22 points a model for toughness 5 with a 4 up and 2 wounds.
Yeah.
And -1 to be wounded if there's a war boss.
Yeah, with characters attached, you can really amplify that durability. You can give them -1 wound, give them that 5 feeling pain and resurrection. You can do a lot with them.
22 points a model is the point where I would actually call them quite cheap for that profile. Because you get a Power Claw, you get a Big Choppa, both of which are pretty decent. I think you want Power Claws. You attach a war boss, it's on 175. That unit is really good.
Yeah.
It's pretty cheap, it hits pretty hard. It's just really good.
Yeah.
It's good in Warhorde, it's good in Bully Boys, and the others we probably don't take it, but it's still fine. Yeah, just a role player. It hits hard. You can take 10-man units. They're not that expensive. It's $285 for a 10-man unit plus a war boss. That unit
That's really good.
Hard.
Yeah, for sure.
And in Warhorde, you can give it -1 to wound all the time against everything. Otherwise, they're just -1 to wound against toughness, strength higher than toughness, which is pretty good. Bully Boys, they get rerolls to hit.
Bunch
they
of power
benefit from all
attacks.
They benefit from all the strats, and the strats are quite good. So they're just a really solid unit. Let's talk about some things that aren't really solid units.
More planes.
More planes. And I'm just going to cut to the chase. These suffer from exactly the same problem that the other planes
But wait, do they do anything with their Super Gatla big shooters? And their data sheet ability's got to be a nifty
So
rule
the
that
last
matters.
one left that isn't the the DACA jet, or not the DACA jet, whatever, these names are all stupid. Wazbomb Blastojet. Okay, it's just so hard to keep them straight. So this thing does no damage in shooting. If it ends a normal move over an enemy unit, on a 4+, they take D6 mortal wounds. But remember, it's a plane, it can't turn before it moves. So your opponent has to walk into the path, then take it on a 4-up.
Yeah, if you're good at positioning, that just doesn't happen.
No. Whereas the Wazbomb Blastojet, this thing does hit on 4s. This thing is Speed Freak, so you could get Speed Freak rolls out
drive
of it.
3 of these right up on your opponent, get not within 9 inches, and then your extra AP.
Yeah, they do have to come in off the board edge because they don't have hover.
Well, you're gonna have to set this up on turn 3.
Yeah. Against units that can't fly, they reroll hit rolls of 1. They hit on 4s. Their Teleport Mega Blasta hits on 5s. Not awesome there. The Mega Cannon Twin Link to 12 minus 2d6. I think this thing is okay in Speed Freaks, but you're not going to take it because it's so restrictive.
Still a flyer. Like it's literally got to be so much better at everything it does because it's a flyer, and flyers inherently are bad.
Yeah, flyers have so many hoops to overcome.
And for the record, this is a good thing. Flyers used to be very good, and then the game was very stupid. So I'm very glad that this is the way they've gone with things.
It's the best of the flyers. It's also 175 for a 12-wound rhino.
We're just not taking it.
No, we're not taking it.
But what we are taking, the last data sheet in this tier list, the Orc Mechanovs. They barely changed. They had the same profile as last
They
time.
used to have dev wounds during the WoW.
They got nerfed.
They got nerfed. They lost that rule. Did they gain another rule? I don't remember.
Let's check.
Oh, they gained...
Crumpin' time.
Yeah, Crumpin' time. So they don't dev wounds anymore. So, during battle round, which you call WoW, models in this unit have the 4-up feel no pain.
4-up feel no pain. That's pretty saucy, and that'd be good, right? They're like 1-wound models that are 4-up feel no pain's annoying, but not that great.
No, they're toughness 6 with 2-up save, 3 wounds, and a 4-up feel no pain. And don't worry, that's only one battle round.
Yeah,
Wait
it's
a
only
minute.
what they call the WOG.
Bully Boys can call it twice, and it applies to knobs and mega knobs. So mega knobs get it twice, and all of the strats in that detachment work on mega knobs. Mega knobs are crazy. They are the single most improved unit in the edition from the index to the codex. Their damage output is less than like big mega knob might expect. They have 2 attacks on the twin kill saws, but they make those go really far.
Yeah.
You have a war boss, so they hit on 2s during the wall, which there's 2 turns of. They're 3 attacks. They're twin linked and they're AP 3, and they have 1 CP reroll hits. So they're going to be 18 attacks, hitting on 3s, rerolling, wounding on 2s or 3s, rerolling AP 3 damage 2. You also have a mega boss in there, and good luck killing them. They have a 4-up feel no pain.
You ever play against Custodes? You ever play against Custodes Wardens? You ever play against Custodes Wardens who pop the 4-up feel no pain right as you're about to shoot your entire army at it, and you're like so frustrated you've done like no damage, and then they heal model back? Imagine if instead of playing against Custodes Wardens, you're playing against Orc Meganobs, and instead of having 4-up feel no pain for 1 phase, they instead have 4-up feel no pain for 2 battle rounds.
Yeah, that's a huge difference. So I will tell you, using Wardens...
24 phases, Jack.
If you ever catch Wardens without buffs, they die quite quickly. or quicker than I would like them to, for sure. These guys can never be caught without buffs.
No.
They have them for every phase. They don't have to spend a CP for anything. They're just there. In Bully Boys, they have 1 CP Armor of Contempt against shooting. Like, they're pretty damn good at just surviving no matter what you do.
You have multiple ways to deliver them. You can go in the battle wagon, so you can take slightly smaller squads, still 5+ a war boss, go into a truck, or you can teleport to them. And as if all that wasn't enough, Armor of Contempt.
Now, I will say, now Armor of Contempt's only in shooting, which is very helpful for you trying to kill them. I will say, outside of Bully Boys, they are good. In Bully Boys, they're bananas.
Yeah, I agree with that completely.
Yeah, because without all the strat support, without the double wah, they are kind of one and done.
And they're also not the fastest, they are only 2 attacks.
Exactly. 3 attacks in the wah turn, which you only have 1 if you're not Bully Boys. So this, I mean, outside of Bully Boys is like Got's Datif tier.
Right.
Like, it's really good, but so are some other stuff. Like, it's over here-ish. But with Bully Boys, it's the best unit in the book.
I think one of the coolest things about the Orc Army is that they've done a really good job making different art units shine in different detachments. Like, we talked about this kind of throughout the entire thing. It's been hard to rank them all because it's like a lot of units get better in the right detachment, but a lot of units come down if you're taking that detachment. So there's a lot of good internal balance within the Orc Army. There's a few things I think should get toned down a little bit. Maybe the Mega Knob problem.
There is a bit of a Mega Knob problem going on right now.
I wish they could figure out what to do with this section of the tier list for buggies next to each other in the bottom tier, for planes next to each other in the even lower tier. It's like, okay, they're 4 data sheets from the same kit that all do the same thing but slightly differently, and I just think we can do better. But overall, I'm really happy with this workbook.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job at elevating a lot of different units up to like unique playability, where like you might want to play one, but then if you go for a completely different playstyle, another one becomes very, like pretty nice with it. So I think they did a really good job of expressing the different ways one can be Orky.
I think it's also really cool that you don't just take the same units and then give it slightly different rules. Like, you take a ton of Mega Knobs and Pew Pew Pew. You take a ton of the drop tanks, or you take 200 boys in the Green Tide. Like, there are expressive, like, distinct different styles, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it is. Okay. It is. All right. So because the chat went down, unfortunately, we lost our
super chats.
Our super chats, but we have them now.
Zlatgon, with a $5 super chat. Gorkanaut in the DM has a gun with 30 shots. Dreadmob has a gun with 30 shots, sustained hits, full rerolls. It's strain 6, AP 1, damage 2, familiar, just 3d6 cell Gork size pirate hats. That's a great.
Fortunately, it is only 20 shots. Oh no, it's rapid fire too. It gets 30 shots. My word.
Look,
that's a lot of shots.
It's still gonna kill you. Like, is it even any different that it's 20 shots or 30 shots? No, I don't think so.
I mean, this thing is 280. I'm super on board with either the Gorka or Morkanaut. We're gonna experiment and see which one is better. James Tierney, £2 super chat, says, hi, scope for a competitive Horde bully list? Thanks. Tune in on Wednesday, where Nick is gonna run aggro Bully Boys into my Custodes.
We sure are. We got Custodes vs. Orcs YouTube on Wednesday, live at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on the Art of War 40K channel. Like and subscribe for that. Click the notification button just so you don't miss any of our wonderful content. But if that's not enough to scratch your Orky gets, why don't you check out the Worm in the link below, theworm.vhx.tv, where we're having all these competitive matches where Jack's showing off his newest, shiniest Orc units. We've got a battle report up with the Green Tide. We've got a battle report going up with the Bully Boys. And we're going to get even more battle reports for you going in the future. So definitely check out that link below, theworm.vhx.tv. Leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. Really appreciate it, people.
Yep, we're going to end right on Red Rum Super Chat. €2 Super Chat says, watch the Imperial Night game. Big sad, big golden tears.
Oh, that was a tough one. But don't worry, there are actually games where the Golden Boys and their new shiny Codex do manage to scrape some victories off in the Worm as well. So if you're a big fan of the Custodes, you can check that out. Thank you so much for watching, everybody, and we'll catch you later.
Bye-bye.